Welcome to the EST Hangout.
This is the EST Hangout, and today's guests are...
Hey, a good Tuesday morning to you. Welcome to the EST Hangout, which is presented by Sentinel Storage right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports. Live on TuneIn, iHeartRadio, YouTube, iHeart, TuneIn, YouTube, EdmontonSportsTalk.com is wherever you get your podcast. Matt Iwanyk with you here. Hernan Salas will be with us for 2 hours. He is the host of EST Afternoons with Hernan and Gager, as well as on the Oil Stream pre- and post-game show. And we got Lieutenant Eric. You may know him from the Nielsen show featuring Lieutenant Eric. He's in for the first hour. Trev will join us in the second hour. To Northside Sandwich, maybe later. We'll get into my fight with Tim Peele from Twitter yesterday.
Yeah.
Maybe later. I'll
Boys
get
got spicy on there last night.
Late night reading while winding down from the post game show.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was like,
Take your
damn,
pick.
Maddie.
Yeah.
I will just say this. It's been a long time since I got in a Twitter spat with someone, and I really was enjoying myself. I was having fun with that one because screw Tim Peele. That's the one.
Well, it's a united front, really. I think
That
most
one was
people are.
like-
I don't know who's Team Peel out there.
There
but,
wasn't a lot, and
no.
if you're on my side,
Oh, yeah.
if more people are on my side than Tim's side, you know how bad Tim's side is. You know,
Yeah, you're right.
If
But,
people are going to be with me,
Yeah.
But Tim, for a retired ref who threw out his resume and threw out the other guy's resumes, it's like, why are you arguing with people you don't know on Twitter? Like, let people have their opinion. The ref was terrible last night. It's not why they lost. But,
Sure. Yeah.
like, just let it be, man.
Yeah. And figure out whose dad is who before you start.
yeah, that's weird. It's
Yeah.
like fans are going to be fans, and you just got to let it be. Like, okay, fans are not happy with that call. Like, look, did Darnell Nurse deserve to get an extra 2 minutes?
Yes.
I'm okay with that, yes. But did the ref have to do it the way he did it? With the big show and stuff? Like, did he really have to go all that way to, like, make the attention on him or something? Of course not. And he deserves then to get ripped for that. What kind of ref needs to do that?
It's all about him, man. Now, Darnell, 6 minutes were all they're penalties.
Sure.
Just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't
Moving on.
dispute all that
Don't
stuff.
hate the player, hate the game.
Exactly.
But no, Tim's got to...
Well, let's
Get in there.
talk. Let's talk the Manchester Derby, man.
You want to go right into soccer? You're like, we have Oilers, Panthers are going to say, but you're going, let's get into Manchester
So the
Derby.
last time I checked in, it was the 79th minute.
Yeah.
Man City's up 1-0.
Yeah.
I didn't even check. I come into work.
At home too.
I come into work yesterday and I'm like, Man United. Eric's like, yeah, they won. I was like, what? How? In 11 minutes.
Because, like, look, there haven't been a lot of good for United this season. That is one of the good. It was, but that's also City's team is just struggling.
Somebody texted in this morning wanting to talk about Manchester City and their struggles.
They have one win in their last 11, I believe it is,
Yeah.
to Nottingham Forest. They have 2 draws, and they have the rest are losses, and including who's the Dutch side that they lost or drew to
Feyenoord.
and they were up 3
Oh, yeah.
going into the 74th minute, I believe it was, and they blew it.
But they too, if Tim Peele was a soccer club, it would be them. Like, not too many people come to their defense, because they really don't have any fans to begin with. So
No.
it's kind of, we can all combine and
Okay,
join
you guys,
hand in hand.
You guys watch more EPL. I'm trying to get back. Like, I still look at all the scores and try to watch highlights. And there's always that game on Saturday on
NBC.
NBC,
Yeah.
which I love.
Great Aston and Nottingham match this past weekend on NBC.
See,
Yeah.
sometimes those games are the best, right? But like, what's going on with Man City here? Like, why are they so bad when their roster,
Rodri's been out, and he's there. He's like
the motor?
He's Pep's. Yeah, I mean, Ballon d'Or guy. But I mean, you can't. If it's one guy out, you can't be. This is quite the run they're on here, and that's it's part of it, but it can't be all of it.
I took a look at the standings of the last 7 weeks. If the season started 7 weeks ago in England, Manchester City would be second last, based on points.
Yeah, I guess
They would be They would be 19th out of 20 in England with the way that they've played over the last 7 matches in England alone. And that doesn't include the struggles that they're having in the Champions League.
And Foden hasn't been playing. Like, if Holland doesn't score, they don't do anything. It's really just he's the point man, and that's it. But De Bruyne's fallen off. Rodri's hurt. Pep's losing his mind.
Pep is completely losing his mind.
He's lost the plot. He's totally out of it.
And I think, and they're being charged by the governing body of soccer in England, FA.
They're sweating.
They're sweating. And it was 150. But then last week it got up. So there was 115 charges against them.
Jeez.
It's been up to 130.
Wow.
And so there's extra, like, the walls are caving in. They'll find a way to buy themselves out of it. I don't think anyone's expecting anything out of it. But there's all this, like, they win things and everyone just sits there and like, cool, you won, but you cheated. Congratulations.
Nobody cares.
No one cares.
Didn't you show me a video a few weeks ago after a game they blew? They were up 3-0 and they ended up losing or tying, and his face was full of scratches.
Scratched himself all up. And then he said he was harming himself, to which people took offense to that because suicide and everything. So he had to release like a 3-pronged tweet saying, I blah, blah, blah. I'm like, which again, you got to be careful with your words nowadays. But yeah, he's totally lost. He's
to those that don't follow,
rattled.
This would be like next season, the Kansas City Chiefs start losing like 6 straight games. And Andy Reid is just losing it. Like
pulling out his mustache.
It shows up with scratches on his face.
Yeah.
All of that. Like, and that's like what's happening here is that City has been so good for so long. And here it was like, okay, they lost a couple games, whatever. But then it's all of a sudden 4 or 5 games. And now we're up to 11 games where they have a 1 win. Like, it is a terrible
It's miraculous. It
is amazing.
It is amazing.
For a team of that stature.
all that money. And,
money.
They're in a Europa League spot this morning. Which I'd find hilarious if they stayed. Which they won't. They'll probably.
And no one cares. Like, as Eric said, like, if there are very few longtime Manchester City fans. You know one.
I know one. He's been with them thick and thin since they were nothing. Main Road and all that.
But for the rest of them, they're all bandwagon fans who cheered for some other club before.
Chelsea.
And now they're City's good, so we're going to jump on City. And no one cares. And it's just like, there's pictures of their parades when they've won things. And there's like no one at these parades. But they feel like they're this big club. And it's like, okay, there's animosity obviously between United and Liverpool. But it's like the two clubs could look at City and be like, okay, they're there. Like, you're still nothing. You're not us.
Yeah. Because when I was growing up, we're similar in age. Maddie's a lot younger than us.
A lot younger.
Man City was a bad team.
They were terrible. They had nothing. They had a little crappy stadium there, too.
Yeah,
and
they were never good.
No.
They've only been good for the last 12 years, I think. Mancini won that Premier League.
They were a mid-table team before that, but they were worse before that, too. Like, they were in the second division.
They still have one of the best championship games when Aguero scored in the dying seconds.
But that's what they hang their hat on. Like, that's the whole...
Do you remember that?
Oh, of course he has to remember that.
Man United played and they're waiting for and Aguero scores with like no time
he
left.
remembers that.
I do remember that.
Sorry to interrupt. But my point is, Man City, like, that was an epic win.
Yeah.
Like the way they won it.
But we can both recount endless. I mean, I don't have enough fingers to count memorable moments of
Liverpool.
Yeah, so
It's
cute.
It is. Yeah, it is. And then
Cool, yeah.
And once Pep goes away, because eventually he'll go away. He signed an extension. He's got 2 more years, and then he'll be done. No one's going to come in. They could have the money that they want, but no one's going to come in and take that and do as well as Pep did. Because Pep is a great manager.
Yeah.
I will throw that out there. He was really good, but in the end, they're not going to get someone else because no one cares about City. And once they start losing, it's done. It's like PSG. PSG got all those players. Yeah, and now who follows PSG now? Who does PSG have?
No. Nobody.
It failed. They didn't even get to a Champions League final, I don't think. Maybe they got to a final and lost.
Bart loses his soul. There's no soul.
Yeah.
You don't have a...
They just weren't... Yeah. I was never on that PSG band.
Oh, God. Give me a break.
Not a bad league, but not one of the top leagues.
They were trying to be the New York Rangers pre-04 lockout, which was buy all the stars.
Yeah.
And the Rangers never made the playoffs. And PSG never won the ultimate prize that they were going for, which was the Champions
All that
League.
investment.
All that investment. They could win the French League. Awesome. Go win the French League. No one cares. But they couldn't go win Champions League.
Messi's greatest achievements, winning the French League.
Right?
You have to say, probably.
They had Neymar, they had Mbappe, and they had Messi. Yeah. And they still couldn't go win Champions League.
Mm-hmm. And go further than that. Their center back was from the Brazilian national team. I can't remember his name. Where did he play also? Yeah, but they were loaded.
They were loaded all. Yeah.
Because they had the top French players from the national team. Yeah. They were a jug. Redbeard says, "Did you boys catch the Scottish Cup final?
I saw
Classic. Celtic unfortunately won due to a horrendous non-call in the box.
that went to penalties, which was nuts. And Rangers came back twice to tie it and force it to extras and then penalties. But the violence on the streets beforehand, all the Rangers fans, what do they call them, the Bears or whatever, the Ultras, they all were donning Santa caps. And there was videos of them, like there's like 1,000 of them sprinting through the streets of Glasgow. And I think they were being chased either by cops or by Celtic fans. But it wasn't a good look. Not a good look for the Rangers, both on the pitch and off the pitch.
No offense, Redbeard, but anytime Celtic wins, I'm happy because of Alistair Johnson. He's there. I'm happy at
So
Canadians.
Redbeard likes Rangers?
He's a Rangers guy, yeah. Rangers will play United in Europa League coming up too. When's that?
Which him and I have to plan.
You have a watch party?
Well, him and I said we'd go watch it together, so I got to actually go plan that.
Can I come to?
Come on out. What? You'd have to come to the Manchester United bar for it. We'd have to go to downtown for that.
Which is a United bar.
First round downtown. Johnny Alberta, who's one of our nasties in the Nasty Chat. He's created the Manchester United supporters group of Edmonton. I've gone to 2 games this year. I haven't gone to enough. I got to go a few more, but they've created that, and he does a great job setting that up. January 23rd.
Okay.
1 o'clock. So we'll have
Is
to
that
try to
around
plan that.
Dunya AGM time, I think? Or-
That would be championship. So I got a
week.
message everyone that Monday would be championship.
That Monday?
Well, should be championship.
That's a
because
big
it's
week for
national
you then.
championship.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got
Yeah.
go from national championships and then watching the United keep climbing up in the Europa League standings.
I think some breaking news as well that will be announced during the Dunya AGM, but we'll just keep that as it is.
I have a feeling I know what it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't want to spoil anything. And
Nor should you.
I
yeah.
don't want.
Everybody likes a good surprise. Yeah.
And everyone likes, you got to wait for the official announcement sometimes. You don't need to rush things. So I'm intrigued. I have my thoughts of what I think will come up, but we'll have to wait and see.
I look forward to seeing what you thought after the fact that it's announced, and if it does align with what the announcement will be.
Maddie won, right?
I
He
did.
did. He did. Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. It was never really in question.
Absolutely was in question. That was I didn't have a great start to the year.
No,
and,
you did not.
I picked it up down the second half of the season.
Yeah.
I made smart moves, and team pulled
Why'd
it
you
off.
have to get?
Is Trey Ford coming up for this year? Is he a top round 2 pick?
He's a first round pick.
He's a first because of his Canadian.
Canadian dual thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pick 4. Eric's got 1, McCord's got 2, Luke's got 3. They get a pick from Trey, Brady, and Nathan. Wow.
And that's why he's banging the drum against Canadian quarterbacks shouldn't be counted against the. He's trying to implement that.
trying to
That
change
it
it,
can't be a
yeah,
thing, and now we can't
I
start
said
the Canadian
that
squad.
last year.
Yeah.
I said that
it's
last
the long
year.
play you're doing here.
No,
I
I
get
said
it.
that last year, but it's one of those.
You can get Davis though.
And you can still get Javon Leake.
You can get Davis Alexander.
I'm looking to maybe shop my first round pick.
The phone's always on. man. The phone's always on.
I've been contemplating some ideas of
So-
how I would go with Memphis and offer, or even it's a wild thing, but go to San Antonio with a potential trade offer.
So you take Trey Ford if you had the first overall pick, or would you take Nathan Rourke?
If I had the number 1 overall pick, I'd take Brady.
Really?
I think I'd still maybe take Brady.
But Brady didn't have as good a season he did the previous
Fantasy was
season.
solid.
But the touchdowns wasn't
He was my quarterback or running back, and he was fine. He was
I
great.
think-
running back or Canadian. He was in your.
I rotated him a little bit, but he ended up being my Canadian because I had Kadeem Carey as my running back.
Sure, so that
And
was
I
a
had
good one,
nice
too. Yeah,
two
yeah,
punch.
yeah.
I think everybody want to pick, not everyone, but I think they all take a step back, Matty. They're
No,
due,
that's
man.
fair.
They've lost a lot of people in the
yeah.
front office and coach.
Maybe I'm just overthinking this. I have slight concerns about Nathan Rourke based on what I saw last year. And
Last year was weird though.
I know.
Parachuting him in,
So-
and he's gone through. I think, and you're right though. But it is a new day. Buck Pierce, like I'm curious as to, but it's not a guarantee. And neither would Trey be. I guess
And
you could
I
also
feel like,
say.
and that's Brady. I feel like is more certain. And if I build
point.
the team around Brady, I feel like I have a solid base. Where, like, I love Trey. He signed the wall right behind Eric there. And
Fantasy's a different game, though.
But
If you're-
there is a
you're-
situation
yeah.
where what if he actually isn't what I think he is?
No, that's
There's
fair.
more. There's still questions
Yeah.
to him. Whereas Brady is Brady, and maybe I'm.
I just still think in that Canadian slot, you get full value of a quarterback being there. Running back would be second, receiver would be third.
I will say this: I'm glad I don't have the first overall pick. No offense. I'm glad I don't have to make that pick. I hate that in fantasy football. I've always hated it even with NFL. I hate having that one pick.
Depends on the year,
where it's
though.
like you kind of. I remember the one year though. It's like I had first pick and it's like, I got to take LaDainian Tomlinson. Okay, I'm taking him because he's number one, and that was the year he was crap and he was done. And you're like, well, my first round overall. Whereas I like being able to like properly think and be like, okay, well, I don't have to take the natural number one.
It's low.
I don't like the pick.
You're making a good argument here. I get it, but you would love to take first overall in this. Or
No,
even
I would
second.
want second. I would want second or third. I don't want first.
But even-
I don't want to
But
make
you
that
also don't
choice
want fourth.
because
Like four, like you
No, I
want
don't
one,
want
2, or
fourth. I
3.
do not want
1,
fourth.
2, or 3 is fine. Fourth is your kind of
fourth is worse than one.
Oh, not a. Yeah, okay. Fourth is worse than one. Yeah.
I'd rather have 2 or 3 ahead of one. They
Okay,
should.
that's fair. But anywhere in the top three
Because
is-
how I view it is, if we go the whole season and I lose, and I took the guy at number 1, but number 2 wins with their pick, I'll be like, well, I gave him that chance. I should have taken.
Yeah, I mean, ifs and ifs.
Yeah,
But
I do that all the
at
time.
the 4, you can get a good quarterback and a good running back.
He'll still have
I'm not
great
touching
value.
running quarterback in the first round.
Really?
He leaves
No.
his quarterbacks
You don't
till
touch
last.
quarterback.
You
that
wouldn't
are-
take Davis?
You've been in NFL fantasy drafts. How soon do quarterbacks get taken? The only reason Trey and Nathan would get
the
taken
Canadian.
early is the Canadian
No,
spot.
but it's less teams. Like in
I
the
understand-
NFL,
no, I
you got
understand
30
there.
plus teams.
Yeah, but
to
you could
pick
also
from.
everyone can only have 2 quarterbacks. So they all take a quarterback in the first round, or 2 of them do. I still have a good chance to I could still go get Chad Kelly. I could still go get Davis Alexander.
Yeah, it's true.
They're both still there. I could get them 3rd or 4th round. VA. I've got some. I'm gonna now try to fill up my receiver and my running backs
Because
quickly.
you're first, right? So then you'll take your quarterback, probably Rourke. Let's just say.
Probably.
Then you come back, you're probably taking running back receiver.
Probably a receiver, but maybe a quarterback, depending
Yeah.
on who I stack up and see. I wouldn't mind getting a good, solid.
You can start 2 quarterbacks, right?
No. Well,
Well,
only
you can in
Canadian.
the
Only
Canadian.
Canadian.
Yeah.
So
which
if you
I'm
get-
trying to
so
outlaw.
if I'm filling
which
my-
I would like to outlaw.
Yeah.
So if you get Rourke and Davis Alexander, for example, you're set.
Well, because that's the thing. That's why if you get that Canadian spot and fill it with a quarterback, then you almost want to take a good quarterback to be your other QB.
yeah.
No. I wasn't trying to outlaw the quarterback. I was trying to outlaw the kicker in the Canadian spot. But somebody else brought up then the
No.
quarterback has to come out too. I want the kicker out
No,
of the
but you were
Canadian
just
spot.
saying for overall in the league, not fantasy. You wanted to kind of eliminate the going against the ratio.
No, I just want to get rid of kicker in the Canadian spot. I want to get rid of the 2 kickers.
You're talking about in Dunya though.
Yes.
Yeah, I was talking about your opinions on the league as a whole, which would then filter into the Dunya.
What is my issue of the leagues in the whole?
You wanted quarterbacks, the ratio to not apply to them. The ratio.
I
rule.
wanted to apply more to them. It doesn't apply to them right now. I want it to apply.
I thought you wanted to get rid of them being Canadian, that it doesn't matter. or
No, because
anything
right now it
such as
doesn't
that.
matter.
It doesn't matter.
Right now it doesn't matter.
You want it to matter.
The BC Lions or the Edmonton Elks will play a quarterback, Canadian
And it
quarterback,
doesn't
and
matter.
it doesn't impact their ratio.
but it does in the Dunya.
If you could play them in the Canadian spot, but
Yes.
like it doesn't
Yeah.
count to the 7 whatever you need for that.
So we're going against
I
the
want
grain of the Canadian
CFL to change it so that if you're going to play a Canadian quarterback, there's got to be some sort of reward for that. There's got to be some sort of
And you had
credit
what
given.
did you say too that was it just as simple as that? I thought you had a different idea too, that if you play a Canadian quarterback, you get
Well, I think like because the issue that I'm assuming GMs have is that they don't want to, or coaches, they don't want a Canadian quarterback like fully to count necessarily. Maybe this is why the CFL has it, because wherever you have your Canadian positions, you fill up depth in that position with Canadian.
Right, you
Canadians,
have to
right?
have, 'cause if- yeah.
So if you have Trey Ford as your starting quarterback, you technically then have to have a Canadian as your backup quarterback because you then if Trey got hurt, you'd be
you have
completely
to
messing with your
renege
ratio.
the roster. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that there's so that I understand that. So there's got to be a way to balance that. I don't know if maybe you get a cap bonus or something. Maybe you get an extra 50,000 on the
think
cap.
that's
or
what you're talking about,
something.
a bonus or-
or like maybe it's per game. Like if every game that you play a starting quarterback for 75% of the snaps or whatever it is, you get an additional 25,000 on your cap or something. Or maybe it counts for 2 ratio, so that if they do get hurt, I don't know. I guess that might not work. I haven't fully fleshed it out, but I think there's got to be something to, if you are going to play a Canadian at the most important position in football, and we're in a league that says you have to play X amount of Canadians, why wouldn't that count in some way? Because then what coach really wants to necessarily play a Canadian quarterback ever?
You don't take the risk.
Do you think Luke, if Ford's there, he takes him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had him this year.
So you're first, McCord's second pick. So it can technically go Rourke Ford. Or Oliveira mix in there.
Yeah.
Although the one X factor to all this is what does McCord do?
He might take. Well, he probably wants Rourke because he's a BC guy.
Yeah, but if he takes Nathan Rourke, I could see him going off the board.
VA.
He took VA this year, number 1.
Oh, yeah.
And I got Brady number 2.
But a VA wasn't a bad pick. He was
Not at
rolling.
all. That was
No.
a great pick.
Yeah.
But I stand by. Brady was the guy going into this year's draft because he's the Canadian. And we've learned the Canadian matters.
And what do you want to do with the kicker?
I don't think the kicker should be in the Canadian spot. I think that when we add that extra Canadian roster, like on a CFL football field, you never put 2 kickers out there in the same thing. You could have 2 quarterbacks on the field.
If your
And
kicker gets hurt, though,
fantasy lineup,
like, it's the same thing, right? When you have a backup,
Yeah,
you
but
need that Canadian to kind of...
yeah, but in our starting lineup,
Yeah.
I don't think we should be able to play 2 kickers because the fantasy is supposed to kind of emulate your starting depth chart type thing.
You guys love
And-
talking the rouge in here, though, I hear. The Canadian game is more of a kicking game. It does lead to, like, the fact that it's a CFL fantasy league. Having 2 kickers is kind of more Canadian. I know NFL fantasy doesn't care about kickers so much, but we're a kicking league, you know?
But I want to move it to 1. I think the Canadian spot should only be for QBs, wide receivers, or running backs.
I don't mind the kicker option.
And I want to outlaw that again. I want to take that out.
You got choices though. You can make.
You
a
do
nice-
have lots
yeah.
of choices. I love the league. It's fun.
You got. You can make a trade. You can hold it.
Oh, number 1? Oh, I got tons of choices. Maddie, the phone's on.
Yeah, no, I'm going to think about that because I have.
Do you think long? You
I have
take the
some-
holidays, take some time
I have
off.
some ideas. I also got to decide where we're going to do the draft.
It's all in your
'Cause
court.
Championship night and the AGM will be decided by Lucas as the defending champion, and then I will select.
And you get the draft. Yeah,
I get
yeah.
the draft in next year's championship.
Do we know where he wants to go yet? Has that been discussed?
No clue.
Okay.
Oh wait, we had a quick conversation with him one day, me, you, and him. I forgot what he threw out there as an idea.
Usually the farthest away from McCord's house is to make him drive.
I know where I'm going with championship night next year. I need to find a patio for draft
Century
night.
Casino Sports Bar and
That's
Lab.
where it's going to be next year. But the draft night is going to be on a patio somewhere. We're taking the draft outside, as long as it's nice.
Smitty's Westmount again?
Nope.
How did Dusty do in his league?
Did he the Kerflot or
didn't win.
Kerfloat or whatever it's called?
Actually, the 2 commissions won.
Oh,
Wow,
His
that's
Kevin, George's satellite, nasty. He
fix
won
is
this
in.
year,
The
and
fix
I
is
won
in.
this year. So Dusty did not win. But
Eric, this is your year, man.
Every year's my year. And then it's not.
it's actually a significant year for the league as well.
Yeah, momentous.
It is. We're in our 10th season.
Wow.
It's-
People said we couldn't do 5.
Yeah.
And here we are at 10.
We're going.
We're
and
all just jealous that we're not in it. so
Absolutely.
we
Well,
just-
the line is long.
put it
we
down.
survived the lost season too. And we're still rolling.
We sure
strong.
did. We sure did.
survived the lost season, and we're gonna now play our 10th season.
Finances are going up.
That was a tough. Okay, I'll ask you an Elks question. Who gets drafted first, Leak or Rankin?
Oh, I'm taking Leak.
Yeah, Leak and Ford are a deadly duo, man.
I'd take Rankin. I think Rankin's going to be the starting back. I think Leak is the kick returner and the second back.
He's a specialist.
He does the both. Like if he's going to be kick returner again, he can't, like when he returns the kick, he's probably going to go straight to the sideline for a bit, and Rankin's going to come out first.
Yeah, because Killam's special teams background probably loves Leak in that spot, and the Elks can't return worth you know what.
The flip side is with Leak, like Jordan McSimic is a very smart offensive guy. So I'm going to assume he's going to find a way to mix both of them in. Although if there's one concern I have for McSimic from BC was they didn't commit to the
didn't
run
run the
enough.
ball.
They didn't commit to the run enough. And here he's going to have to change and commit to the run because you have Ford's leg, obviously, but you have Rankin and you have Leak. You have 2 good running backs. But the one thing about playing Leak in fantasy is if he happens to be the returner and he takes one back to the house, you get some extra points there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's a good one. I think it's going to be a good duo, though.
I love it.
Yeah.
And with Ford back there,
Oh yeah.
like, and I said this morning, if you can afford to let a guy like Kevin Brown go, and I don't know, and he was a good servant to the club here, had some, but if you can afford to have him go, and now Toronto, that too.
Well, I think Kadeem's gone.
Is Kadeem gone? Yeah. Okay. Well, then
why
they're
would you bring
filling.
in Kevin Brown?
No, that's true. But I
they've
mean,
they had
to have a 1-2 punch at RB is a pretty good situation to have, and I mean, but now when you have Ford back there with the two of these guys and their running styles, like that's a great mix.
I'd be shocked if Gino's back.
As would I.
He won't be back.
He won't be. Like he would have to take a severe pay cut and like be like, I really want to play for Edmonton or something. I don't see him.
Would he be a stamp with VA again?
I think so.
Yeah,
He might want to go back to Montreal too.
Okay, yeah.
He's got. I think his girl's from there too.
But I don't know if Montreal would spend the money because they've got Cole Spiker, they've got Austin Mack,
Philpott.
I don't know if Danny Machoch
Stamps
is
don't
going
like
to go
spending
spend
money, do they? Or
No.
they don't.
No, but
they've
they
been
gotta
cheap
do
over the years.
something.
I know that would be a splash. That
In
would.
the CFL, you don't need. I mean, sure, it's nice to have the top, but you can get by with American receivers that are new to the game.
Absolutely.
You can. That's why
You always have to go cheap. And yeah.
like Sask before they signed MLS and all that 2 years ago. They had a wicked receiving core, and they had MLS. They had Tevin Jones. Who's the other guy they have there? He got hurt this year.
Well, Jareth Stearns was kind of coming to his own, but they've got a lot of like middling type of guys that are ready to pop or break. Some of them do, some of them don't. But I've always thought too, like free agent scrap heaping, although we love talking about it and the free agent frenzy is so much, you can't get caught overpaying for a guy that's turned a couple of necks here or there. I would rather have a great stout scouting system and bringing in young, hungry guys on the cheap, ready to prove themselves, whether or not they want to get back to the NFL, whether they want to have a career here. But you should always keep kind of doing that cycle, almost like a junior, right? Junior, like, you know, that type. You should always kind of, and that cycle never really needs to end. You can just keep bringing in guys, and almost to a point where if a guy goes down, you're excited for the guy that's going to replace him because you know that he's hungry.
Yeah.
He's been waiting. You know,
Like you look at Zach Mathis, really came on late, big body. He's going to be a big part of the offense. You still got Curly, and then from there, are you going to keep Tevin Jones? Or are you like, who else would you add there?
I think you're going to maybe move on from Dylan Mitchell,
He has a year left though.
but they could cut him still. Like that's what
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think maybe move on.
and that's what I'm
potentially.
saying is
Like,
that a
it's-
guy like that kind of.
or where else, like an Ed will find people.
For sure.
The only reason I would pay for Gino or like, and I learned this with Lawler coming to Edmonton. If I'm a team that has a quarterback that I'm not so sure about, I want a veteran receiver that I know if the ball's in the area, they're going to come down.
One guy, a safety.
I think Ottawa should go for Eugene Lewis.
But that never like
Go spend the money and bring Gino to help Drew Brown.
Because when in year 2 of Chris Jones, Taylor Cornelius was the guy. They surrounded him. They overpaid for Gino. They overpaid for Stephen Dunbar. They had 2 of the top 3 paid receivers in the league. It didn't help worth you know what.
It didn't, but when they had Kenny Lawler, they made some good throws to him because like you just had to put the ball in the vicinity and they would grab it.
Yeah,
Now Taylor Cornelius, when you put it in your feet, they can't help you.
that's fair, I guess.
No, yeah.
But that's the only reason I would pay for a top receiver in the Canadian Football League is if I didn't have a quarterback, I'm fully developing, and I think Trey's past that now, where you don't need to spend that for Trey. Go now develop some chemistry as Trey with different receivers that you can grow and bring up.
And you don't need like a top, but I would say like you need a guy that's maybe had a little experience in the league, but is still ready to hit another step or another gear
That's
or
where
another.
Tevin Jones is, I think.
Yeah.
He could be like the number 1 of this team.
Yeah.
And he had nice chemistry with both Trey and MBT last year when he came into the line.
A mix of experience and hunger that could still, because it, you know, like the Duke Williams of years past, like, you know, it's very sexy. I get it. And there's a lot of like, you want to kind of bring in a guy like that, but sometimes it's just.
But was Duke not an Ed guy?
I think he was.
Ed might have brought
like
in
the
Duke.
first iteration
Might
of
have,
Duke
yeah.
Williams was great.
I know.
But then the
The
second
second
time
one
around the
wasn't.
carnival, you're kind of like, and
just a
he's
headache, yeah.
he's made his money, and it's kind of, and then he's like, what am I doing, and where am I going, and nobody knows.
But that's the thing with Ed is he'll go find the guy first.
Yeah, and that's what should excite fans too. Is it's not necessarily like, Javon Leake's great and everything, but it's the players you don't know or don't know exist yet, and that's why I love bowl season because there's a lot of guys on neg lists and stuff that you can kind of identify maybe, and maybe not this current neg list.
Neg lists are 10 players from neg list came out last week for the CFL teams. But that's like I've said it for a few years. Free agency's a fun day. I enjoy the week now.
It's great.
It's awesome.
There's
It's
so
fun
many,
to-
and yeah.
the names, seeing the moving parts, but pay attention to the press releases from February through to June, because chances are 2 or 3 names on there are going to be important to your team.
Yeah, especially now with the new regime.
Yeah, and when you look at that press release, you're gonna be like, I don't know who this guy is, and you're just gonna throw him away, or you're gonna see that tweet from the Elks and be like, whatever, okay, cool. But in the end, it's actually going to be very important.
Yeah.
Someone who wrote all the releases when we signed, I think in January, we signed the guy for 19 days straight. Brian Swain would always text me and be like, 18 days straight?
Yeah, he kept track of it. Swain's a numbers guy. He likes that stuff.
But I loved it because you would look up these guys and whether they played arena or they played in Europe or they're just college guys. Like I was always fascinated about like their accolades, where
stories.
they came from, right?
Yeah.
Like a Nick Anderson. It's like, oh, okay, this guy has been to the NFL, blah, blah, blah. And then you look at a guy like Zach Mathis, who won 3 championships at North Dakota.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
When
Like
did they sign Nick Anderson?
these guys are all just amazing, right? And then you sign a guy that played, it was Aaron Adoyi, played for the Baltimore Ravens for a bit, but this guy played, his whole college career was basketball.
An athlete, a pure athlete.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like,
Dahmer loved the athletes. Eh?
Yeah.
Pure athlete.
Elks sign American linebacker Nick Anderson. That was on March 11th, 2024. Guaranteed none of us talked about it that day. Guaranteed most of us just
And
skipped
you
that
keep an
press
eye,
release.
keep an eye on the college and where they like, and
you know what was funny about that is that he was, it was a hard negotiation to get Nick at, like, and he said it when he joined us after the season or when he was having a great year. He said, he goes, I looked at the CFL and I didn't like, he kind of said, I didn't take it seriously. He goes, but then I regret not coming here a year before because I guess Chris Jones had reached out to him. And he's like, I don't want to go to the CFL. Like,
oh, sure.
So he goes, but that was my bad. He goes, because I looked at the league as
You don't know.
yeah. So he goes, but now he's like, I'd love it up here. Like, I'm going to recommend it to so many guys in the NFL that can't.
Well,
crack
look
a
at
roster.
Quantez Stiggers.
Yeah.
Getting his start for the Jets, was it last weekend? A product of the Toronto Argonauts, right? Or whatever it is.
There's always the claims that the CFL needs to become the development league of the NFL, and I always just have fought back and like, it is.
Well,
The NFL comes and takes the players when they
the
want
The NFL
them.
doesn't need to support it. Like it's not their.
The CFL is very functioning, and in the end, the NFL will come get their players when they see players play, and the CFL is happily like
The money will come and get them.
Here,
Yeah,
go grab.
yeah.
Here's their players in the offseason. We see players go sign all the time.
Yeah.
and people they should be a minor league system. Well, they are.
But they need to switch the rules
Like-
and the field dimension to they don't need to.
Or they just wanted like the CFL to just have the American the shield somewhere else on there to be like, it's in a minor league. It's very much a big development league for the National Football League. And I'm sure if you go talk to NFL scouts across all 32 teams, they will say, yeah, we spend a lot of time watching the Canadian Football League to find players.
And you look like you're talking about guys like I remember doing Cordell Jackson's presser, and he won Rookie of the Year in the Arena League. Like really good numbers, really good college. He only had one offer. And when he made the team, everybody's like, who is this guy? And I'm like, well, if you read the press, like he's pretty damn good. He's just small. He doesn't have the NFL body. Devondrick Bynum, Nick Anderson, they're all too small.
And not all, sometimes not by a lot.
No.
Let's be honest.
But
Like, you could-
Bynum's tiny.
Yeah. But some of these guys, like if you're an inch here, an inch there, or whatever, and then nobody looks at you or whatever.
Well-
but it goes both ways too. I mean, the NFL can be a development league for the CFL. You've seen guys bounce around there for a few years,
Oh,
and
hell
then
yeah.
and then their game is tailor made to the Canadian way of playing.
Now you're seeing a lot more CFL guys going to the NFL and not just being a practice roster, but playing.
Yeah.
It was Chad Ochocinco who talked about it.
Well,
that clip always comes out.
Yeah,
And he goes, the top players in the NFL, obviously, that's an upper echelon. But you get past that, the average NFLer versus like the average CFLer.
It's like NHL goaltending right now,
or like,
right?
They're all, but it's like all the same. Like he says, it's pretty interchangeable once you're getting down that like it's, Patrick Mahomes, the CFL doesn't have a Patrick Mahomes.
No.
We don't have Justin Jeffersons. But everything else, like, they're actually pretty comparable, but the NFL, they're just a slightly better maybe or something.
Yeah.
So it's
It's all about opportunity.
I just want the CFL schedule now.
Oh,
Give me the
opportunity and
CFL
timing,
schedule.
and which coach you kind of some guys just fall into good opportunities and bad ones.
Bronco Nick says Nick Anderson gone to the NFL. I think too good. And the only reason I'll say, and I hope he does because he's a great guy.
This is a scary time though for
Yeah.
CFL, the workouts and everything.
But if you ever met Nick Anderson, you'll see why he can't crack the NFL because of his height. You don't know where to play him. He's too small to be a D lineman.
tweener.
Yeah, he's too small to be a linebacker, but he's too big to be a free safety. Like seriously.
Yeah, and that's
Like-
why he's a good CFL.
And that's not a knock on him. He's just his size is not for the NFL.
yeah.
Like if he was a little bit taller, he'd be in the NFL. No, hands down. He probably would have never made it up here.
Jake Julian's getting quite a few tryouts down south.
Isn't he though?
Well, he should.
He's a great punter. It's just funny seeing a punter. And it's like actually like, oh boy, if they lose a punter, ooh, they got to replace him.
But Jake's the same guy that like he came last year from Patriots camp. He was with Bill Belichick. And then he's admitted this year, he goes like, yeah, last year I didn't really take my conditioning and like my job seriously. Like he goes, I think it's because it was that whole CFL thing. He's a Canadian kid, but he played in he played college in the States.
Yeah.
You know, his fiance is from the States. Like everything is American to. And then he goes, this year, he goes, he trained like a professional. He goes, he's like, I took my job and look what he did.
Yeah, won a game in the last game of the season.
Do you know what I mean? And now he's getting looks.
Yeah.
Why not, man?
No,
like, he was awesome. He's a great guy. Great guy that works on his craft, but it's just that mentality that you look at the CFL, if you're an American or even a Canadian,
Even
that played
exactly.
American,
There's a lot
you're
of Canadians that,
do I really want to go there? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, it's lesser in some eyes.
Yeah.
Some of the
Because it's money. It's money.
It's the
It's
money.
all
part
comes
of
down to
that.
money.
And
money rules.
You know, the American Hockey League is a great hockey league. There's nothing wrong playing the American Hockey League. There's nothing wrong going to play in Sweden or in Switzerland or any of those leagues. Yeah, it's not the NHL. We know that. But that doesn't mean it's the only game that is respectable. So,
I love the CFL. And you look at last night's games, awful in the NFL.
Oh, God.
Like, seriously. Like, that, like... And
Is
then,
the choice between a douche and a turd sandwich. That was the old South Park
That's the
episode,
South
right?
Park
Yeah,
episode.
which one do you want? And no, not offense, Vikings fans out
trying
there
to
and everything,
flip,
but
but-
it was just kind of pick your poison. And
CFL, the first 10 weeks, the last 3 minutes of every game were amazing.
well, this past season was
I think
something
it was
else. They all went down to the wire, and
did decide in the final 3
yeah.
minutes.
And the parity of the league was top notch
incredible.
too. Yeah.
There was
it's
one
great.
bad team that just was out of it. No one cared about Calgary. Like, they weren't good. There was no point in
and
this
traditionally
season.
they never have been. So that's kind of funny too. That it's
Like, at no point this season would anyone sit there and be like, oh, Calgary, look at them coming on. Every other team in the league this year, there was moments you're like, wow, they're looking really good. Like, we were talking about the Elks maybe going to the Grey Cup. We're
and
talking about
3
Hamilton going on this winning streak, and they're going to be in
got
the
a little
playoffs.
ahead of ourselves there.
No, man.
But in the end,
3 straight walk-off field goals.
The Saskatchewan Roughriders at the start of the year got off to this hot start. Looked like they were going to run away with the West. So where the BC Lions were right up there. Montreal looked great with their like at a point all season we said all the teams were great except for the Calgary Stampeders.
yeah.
And how many great teams are there in the NFL this year?
Not a lot, man.
It's not like,
But it's
8 to
boring in the fact that the teams that are going to make it in either the wild card or the lesser seeds.
The Niners are boring this year.
So
Yeah, but I mean, you look at who's going to win your division, the Rams or the
Seahawks.
Yeah, so but realistically, where are they going to go, right? Like
Nowhere.
exactly, and it's the same with the AFC
Buffalo,
South in a sense. I mean,
KC,
Detroit.
Philly. I will go.
Mini.
I got to throw Pitts. I'll throw Baltimore. I'll throw Houston. I'll throw Mini.
Houston.
But even Houston's not even that.
I don't think they do any make
But
noise though.
there's
Like,
8 teams right there.
but who
like, that's the
realistically
same.
makes noise? Like
but there's
Super
a lot
Bowl.
of. The rest is like it's not that good.
Yeah, and then there's also a lot of games every Sunday. So this week you got the Jaguars taking on the Raiders. You got a lot of toilet bowl, like a lot of toilet bowls are now coming, and nobody,
Yes.
because it's fantasy playoffs and you're looking at divisional races and everything. But half of the schedule is just trash.
It is.
And if
That
you
nobody
watch-
cares about.
And if you're watching Sunday Ticket, you're generally only going to see the games that are good.
And it's great in the first 5 weeks when everything's kind of still at balls in the air. But now this is just crap.
I don't even know what's coming up.
No, like. Don't get me wrong. I love this.
I love football.
watch
I
this.
love football. I love football.
What do
I'll
we got
watch
this week?
football. Perry
Broncos
Jr.
Chargers on Thursday.
That's a good.
That'll be a good one. We
Yeah.
got Steelers Ravens this weekend. No, is that right? 21st? Yeah, it is this
Yeah.
weekend. Texans Chiefs. But then
Carson Wentz and the Chiefs.
Browns Bengals 3-11 versus 6-8. Titans 3-11 versus Colts 6-8. Lions are going to destroy the Bears this weekend.
Oh boy.
Bills are going to destroy the Pats this weekend.
Oh.
Jags and Raiders 3-11
Jags and Raiders,
versus 2-12.
that's the one, baby. Hello,
No offense,
race to
Hernan.
the bottom. We'll be looking for first overall. I
49ers
wouldn't even want to win.
Dolphins 6-8, 6-8. Bucks and Bucks had a nice win.
I think
this
that
weekend.
game
Bucks
got
are great on the road. Bucks are great on the road.
Didn't Niners Dolphins get flexed?
Niners Dolphins is
should.
at 225. So it got put earlier.
You
maybe.
want it flexed into the prime time.
No, they got flexed for the Patriots.
Monday nighter Saints who are 5-9 taking on the Packers who are 10-4. No, see now you got
None of those games are fun.
No.
There's like Texans
Baltimore
Chiefs are going to be
Steelers.
great. That's going to be fun.
That's gonna be fun.
But it's with so many teams, the odds of you getting a good, like, again, when you're lighting
16
up in the
games.
CFL down the stretch, and as you say, Maddie, there's maybe one team, perhaps sometimes two that are out of it. You're still getting 3/4 of your games that largely means something.
Well, and in the like the one thing that will hurt the CFL to a degree is that every game's primetime.
Yes, so it's all in the
So there's
the
no
main
hiding
focus.
a bad game.
No.
There's no burying a bad game behind
No.
3 or 4 good games. Whereas the NFL, their primetime games, there's no hiding. Last night, there's no hiding those 2 games. They were what they were. But during Sunday, you can hide it around the law of averages states that a couple of games are going to be really good when you have 8 games going on.
Sure.
There's going to be 2 or 3 games that are really good. And they're going to cloud the judgment of the rest of the games.
Yeah, that's why we only talk about like 4 or 5 stories come Monday morning, and not every single.
It's
Outside of week 1 in the NFL, you can pretty much break it down to
The first few weeks are pretty fun. Like I'll get when everything's kind of on the bubble and you don't know where things will settle out. But yeah, now it's just.
I'm just pumped about bowl seasons.
Well, what is tonight? Read
Tonight's the
off the legend.
Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl.
So who are we gonna see in the finals?
Well, you got 25 Memphis taking on West Virginia. Don't interrupt the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl conversation here, Hernan.
He hasn't even got to the playoffs
It's
yet.
the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl.
This is your appetizer to
Just
the
because
main
you're
course,
drinking
baby.
Starbucks right now doesn't mean you can't comment on Scooters Coffee.
Have you ever had a Scooter's coffee?
I have never heard of
No, I've
Scooter's
never even
Coffee
heard
in
of
my
it. Yeah, I
life.
didn't know it was the thing. Do they dump hot coffee on the winning coach?
How
Wouldn't that
great
be
would
something?
that be?
I'm burning.
See, that's kind of like I want Bill Belichick to do well at
the
UNC.
Duke's Mayo Bowl.
But I also want him to be in the Duke's Mayo Bowl and lose
That's
and have
the
to
bowl-
put mayo on
That's the
Bill
bowl for
Belichick.
him. That's the bowl for him.
So, like, enlighten me here, guys. Bill Belichick went to North Carolina.
Yes, he's a target.
How good is that team?
well,
They're over the last couple of years they've improved
Are they
from
still
what they
ACC?
once were. They're still ACC. This year they weren't great. They were 6-6. I think last year or the year before they were a ranked team.
Okay.
They can be good. The thing though in college right now with the NIL money and transfer portal, it doesn't matter how good you were. You could change your team in a snap of a finger. You can go and convince people to come to your school. And they've committed UNC to get like a bunch of NIL money to help Bill Belichick get players. And they've hired a GM so he doesn't have to go recruit the players. He just has to go coach these players.
So, but do you think just him being there is going to bring a lot of players?
Yes.
But it's just so weird. Like, because Saban tried to go pro, he never really. Spurrier was the
But this
same.
is
What's the
different.
opposite?
I think
is
it's
there another?
better.
Is there another
Jim
comparable?
Harbaugh. Harbaugh did it.
He did it. But that was an alma mater thing, and a lot of
Absolutely.
like,
And it took him a while.
And he started in college.
and he cheated.
The thing I will
There's a
say,
Netflix
Let's just get it out of the way.
the thing I will say is, I think it's easier to be a college coach than an NFL coach, because in an NFL coach, you've got players who have mortgages, who've got wives,
They're men.
kids, they're
Yeah,
men,
yeah.
and you go up to that big quarterback and you get in a fight with him. Well, the organization is going to make a decision on whether the coach or quarterback needs to change, and if they like the quarterback, you're gone. Like.
But dealing with men so long, do you then know how to kind of deal with the, shall we say, lack of a better term, the boyish mind, and kind of because there is a different
the
way
thing
of
with
leading.
the boyish is you could be more of a hard ass. You can whip, and they respect the coach more.
But
And
modern
there's-
day, is that really the like the?
I think it absolutely.
Okay.
Like the only thing now you have to worry about as a hard ass coach is that kid's going to transfer portal at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, you have like that's why Urban Meyer didn't work in the NFL. Because you go wanting to yell at an offensive lineman who's making $60 million, he doesn't want to hear from you.
No, yeah.
You go yell at an offensive lineman who's 22 years old, he's going to start crying in a sense because you're Bill Belichick yelling at him or something like that.
That's what I'm saying too. There's a negative to that side as well.
I think it works better. I think Bill Belichick will have quite a bit of success. Plus, the ACC is not great.
Well, he's got an opportunity there. If he went to the SEC or Big Ten or whatever right now as it is,
He could go. I wouldn't be shocked if he's in the ACC championship game next year with a one-loss target. And if I'm a college kid who has dreams in the NFL, I'm looking at UNC right now going, I could go play for one of the greatest coaches ever.
It's nice to have on your resume.
All eyes are going to be on UNC next year. Everyone's going to want to know how Bill Belichick's doing.
I want to watch them just to see the hoodie on the sideline.
It's
So
the
now-
Deion Sanders effect.
If I'm a player, scouts are going to be watching that game a little bit more because people are watching Bill Belichick. If I go shine in these games, maybe my NFL stock comes up a little bit more.
That might be my new team.
You're a Tar Heel
Michigan
now.
guy.
Might be.
What happened to Michigan?
I kind of picked them just to pick, but like it's not my heart's
now-
not in it.
I just follow certain schools myself. I don't have a particular.
I just want to grab onto a team where I like a player or coach and something, and just kind of really get into it and watch their games. But like Michigan, I tried.
It
but
changes so much now, though. That's the thing.
That's
The coaches
what I
and the-
mean.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's
And
like the CFL.
So college football is over. Let's play.
We're into bowls
Well,
and playoffs.
bowl season,
So
yeah.
playoffs, there's 12 teams. Back to your first question of who's likely to win the national championship.
When do playoffs start again? That's this week, is
Yeah.
it not? End of this week.
This
That Notre
weekend.
Dame Indiana one.
Friday, I think.
Boy, that's a big game.
What do we got? Friday, Indiana, Notre Dame.
That's a
Curtis
huge
Rourke
game.
with 1 first place votes for the Heisman. He got one.
Whatever.
I'm
Whatever.
thrilled for
We'll
him.
take it. We'll roll on with it.
Saturday, you got Penn State, SMU, you got Texas, Clemson, you got Ohio State, Tennessee. The teams to watch, I would say, it's Oregon, who's number 1. You got Georgia, number 2. Texas.
Ohio State.
You can't discredit Ohio State.
And they have to win a national championship or days are numbered.
Oh, absolutely.
That's right. We know that. Like that's the only thing that can
I
save
think-
his job right now. Because he lost to your Michigan.
I think if he
That's
gets,
when they got in the brawl, right?
Yeah. I wonder if getting to the semifinals will save his job even. But I don't even
think
know.
you got to win it.
I do,
I
too.
think you got to win it. Those
I
boosters will
think the
not be.
only way, like if he loses a national championship, I think maybe he could survive.
Perhaps.
That's
Depending
maybe
on how it's
'cause he
lost.
got
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But Ohio State would be a team to watch. I'm not sold on Penn State. I'm not sold.
No.
Boise, Arizona State, no. So I think it's Oregon, Georgia, Texas, Ohio State. I think those are the 4 teams I would bet on.
Yeah.
Oregon's the only undefeated team in the nation.
Yeah, I want to watch Notre Dame, Indiana. I think that'll be a fascinating game.
In South Bend.
State schools,
It's the first game in I don't know how many years
good test for
that
work.
a non-NBC broadcast will be done at Notre Dame Stadium.
Oh, really?
Because NBC always broadcasts
With
Notre
that
Dame
one
games.
dude.
And
What's his
now-
name?
And now, because ESPN has the deal for the playoffs and Notre Dame gets to host a game, ESPN's broadcasting Notre Dame for like first time in like since like the 90s or 80s or something like that. So, yeah, that gets going on Friday, which is going to be a lot of fun.
I like these middling bowls, but that playoff is a. Plus, they go to the home school's stadium again. No neutral
But then we
site.
go to neutrals after that.
Yeah.
Like Oregon will not play at home.
Right,
Georgia won't play at home. They're going to the bowl.
The bowl
games
game,
and
yeah.
stuff,
yeah.
so. I love bowl season. It's so much fun.
There's always something to watch. And again, from being a CFL point of view, there are always guys you can see. Wake Forest taking on UMass or something. And there will be a guy in there lighting it up. And 2 or 3 years, he'll be doing it here.
I loved Chris Jones was in charge of the Elks. He always found JUCO guys. Yeah. Last Chance U. That's like this summer. I watched all the Last Chance U because we brought in like 5 of those guys, and I
Yeah.
just wanted to see how they were like when they were younger, like that Malik, the quarterback. Malik.
Oh, yeah, I know who. Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
Malik Henry.
No.
Malik Henry. Yeah.
Is it
yeah.
him?
Was it Malik Henry?
Yeah.
Man, he was a little.
Malik Henry's the receiver.
The receiver.
Yeah, his name is Malik Henry.
Malik
too.
Henry,
Both
too.
are?
Yeah, both. Yeah.
But man, he was a little diva, pain in the ass in his JUCO teams, man. Like
Yeah?
he would like call out the coach in front of everybody. The coach would have to go in and be like, "Come on, man, you're making me look bad."
You're making me look bad.
Yeah, I was like, and then you meet these guys, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just like, I don't want to be portrayed. 'Cause I was young, and like that's what he told me when we were with the Elks. He's like, I'm older now, like." Because everybody would ask him about Last Chance U. We had Ronald Ollie.
It's tough to shake that.
James
when you-
Franklin.
Yeah. But you can't step aside from that.
No,
once you're there, that
Once you're there,
hangs on
it's-
you like a stink. Michael Bishop though lit it up for
Hey.
K-State in that one bowl game.
Revis was in one of the Last Chance U. CJ Revis.
CJ, yeah.
Yeah, I never watched any of that.
Oh, you have to, man. Jones
Maybe I
tried to
will.
hire one of the coaches there that got fired.
Did he?
Controversial.
Jones just loves it.
Where's Chris Jones going?
I think he stays in Hamilton.
Yeah.
Wait, Brent Monson is now taking over as DC there.
Oh yeah, because
yeah,
the
good
contractual
point.
thing in Toronto didn't work out.
And
Eh?
so now he goes to Hamilton, and it's like, well, goes Chris Jones,
wasn't he-
and he turned the season around.
He will turn back into a specialist advisor.
But he was basically a de facto defensive coordinator without having to be defensive coordinator, so he doesn't get paid. 'Cause
Right.
The Elks were paying him.
Maybe he has maybe he got a college gig or maybe.
South Pittsburgh. I think Hamilton though, they keep people on job. Their front office is like it's like a peer. It's hard to keep track.
Yes.
They have so many people on their administrative staff. I just think he stays on. They'll find special assistant
But
to the supervising
he turned
assistant.
that defense around.
Yeah,
and him and
it was-
Milanovic have a relationship. And it was also like, I think everyone was expecting Chris Jones would still be the DC. And then all of a sudden, Farhan 2 days ago saying Monson's going up there. And it's like, what?
And what happened with the Toronto thing? A contract? It was a numbers thing or something?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and I also don't know why Toronto was changing their DCs because their defense was great.
well,
this
and
year. They had a
Fields,
co-defense.
where'd Fields go to Ottawa?
Yeah,
William
so,
Fields?
so they still have Eisen or something like that.
Yeah.
You got to have him as your
Kevin
DC.
Iben?
Iben, thank you. Or does Chris Jones go back there? But I don't know why they were messing with their DCs in Toronto when you just won a Grey Cup because your defense was so good.
Maybe Ted Govea said, "I don't want Chris Jones. He's the new GM in Hamilton."
I think that was of all the moves thus far, that was a huge move, both for the Bombers losing him and the Ticats acquiring that guy. He's
You gotta
been
keep
building.
in mind, like, I don't think the reputation of Jones around the league is that high. Like, unless it's like, you got to think Milanovic and him like came up here together.
Yes.
They lived together.
They were in
roomed
Montreal together.
The reputation
Toronto
on him doing
together.
what though? I think as a DC, I still hold him,
Yes.
but anything above that is certainly not.
I wouldn't give him the keys to as a head coach anymore.
No.
Even though he could probably still have been the head coach of this team if he just started a different quarterback.
And you'd have to have a relationship with somebody ahead of him that would work with him and keep him. Yeah.
But as a DC, like he's a great defensive.
Oh,
he's,
hell
he's
yeah.
probably the best defensive mind I've ever seen in the Canadian Football League. His defense is always
you have to-
as a DC. He's
You have
always
to
been great.
evolve, though.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
but Hamilton's DC defense when he took over were much better,
Yeah, but they were really bad.
and they got much
They
better.
were though, but
Yeah.
And he turned them around largely.
They were awful.
So I'm very surprised that all of a sudden he's just not there anymore.
well,
I
you
didn't
got
even
a
think of
chance at
that.
Monson.
Yeah.
Chance at Monson. Yeah,
While Calgary's D was trash this year.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I said it kind of
It's-
tongue in cheek.
I
I'm
know,
kind of
it's-
wondering why he gets to kind of.
He's getting to pick his
But that's
spot
what I'm
across
saying.
the Canadian Football League.
And that is, I think that's a hometown coming for him as
Yes.
well in Hamilton. So, but you're right. Maybe that's Ted's guy. Maybe he steps in. It'll be interesting.
Marcus Howell and Marcus Klund landed on Calgary's staff.
And
so John
Dickey too is special teams coordinator now. Craig.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
officially
of course.
official. Yeah,
Of course
we all-
it was
How
happening.
did I miss that? Yeah.
You're getting rid of Mark Killam. You're
And when
bringing
Dave
in,
fires himself, he'll appoint Craig as the.
that's what's.
Yeah, it's all leading to
I
that.
can't wait.
He's
Yeah.
going to resign as head coach after next year in 2 years, and Craig
He's
Dickinson
gotta
will be the
fire
new head
himself,
coach,
is it?
and he'll just be GM, and
Yeah.
Craig will be the head coach. And if you're a Calgary Stampeders fan, you really hope Edmonton doesn't do well, because if Edmonton starts doing well, you'll look there and be like, their coach is who we groomed for 20 years,
I always
and
find,
we let him walk up north.
I always find it fascinating because Marcus Klund was DB coach in Sask and in Edmonton, and then he goes to Calgary and he's doing like an offensive coaching job. Do you know what I mean? I always
Yeah.
find that fascinating.
flipping the whole side of it.
Like Jordan Lennon, like when he was here, he was running backs coach.
Yeah.
He goes to
Sask.
Sask and he's defensive assistant, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Like,
But
you know
to
what
a
I mean?
degree, like, it should be interchangeable to because if you're focused on the running game, you're focused on how to beat a defense.
Yeah.
But then if you go to the defensive side, you should then you were thinking as an offensive mind. You should know what an offensive mind is thinking. Like, okay, well, this is how we need to stop that offensive mind. I would think.
Klund was a hell of a coach.
You can be a linebackers coach and then a running backs.
Yeah. What
was,
like you know what I'm saying? Like a
J.C. Sherritt.
He was, yeah.
linebacker, running back.
yeah. Because you know what the two are. Coordinator different. You draw up a playbook. That's a different.
I wonder if Shivers lands anywhere.
I really wanted him to do well here.
He did okay.
I wanted him to I would have been very happy if he stayed here. I hope because
A couple years back, I thought he was trending in a
Me
pretty
too.
good. You know.
to be head coach.
Yeah.
I really think he needs. I hope someone takes a shot at him as a DC again, so he can trend back to being a head coach. I would like to see Ryan Phillips do a little bit better wherever he goes, so that he could be a better. I
like
think
Ryan
he could be a
Phillips
head
too,
coach.
yeah.
I also am stunned no one's given Kahari another shot at head coach.
Or even OC.
Well, he went to Ottawa
Yeah.
1 year and it didn't go great, but I'm just surprised he hasn't got another shot at head coach because it wasn't. He was good in that first year with it Montreal, and it just didn't work the second year. But VA wasn't good that year.
Yeah, that didn't. It wasn't necessarily due to him, was it?
VA
Looking back.
it was after COVID. Like in 2019, VA had a great season. COVID hit, no season. The season after VA came, and VA didn't play well, and
Yeah.
Montreal didn't play well. And then VA gets traded to BC. Eventually, Kahari gets fired, and it was like, well, naturally, any coach, you're only going to do as well if you have a quarterback type thing.
Yeah.
I would like to see Kahari get another shot, and I don't think that's a retread type hire because he's only done it once, and it wasn't for long.
Lions will be better with Buck Pierce under than Rick Campbell.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I
wonder.
mean, you can say the same thing in Edmonton, right?
Yeah, I
first-time
wonder-
coaches, like, it doesn't always work.
it
out.
doesn't always. I just wonder the relationship he'll have with Rourke.
Yeah.
and whether or not they can.
The concern I'll have is, and I've always had this, is his first-time head coach. Also, he's the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
two hats. Chris Jones was one of the few that actually nailed it when he first came to Edmonton 14-15. He was also DC, and it worked.
Mace did a good job.
It worked. But Ryan Dinwiddie does it, I think, in Toronto.
Is Mace the coordinator too? Yeah. That's a good thing about Killam. He won't be any coordinator.
Are you sure he's not going to be special teams?
He did say in his presser that he's got to think about it, but he might. But still, that's not like that's
It's not like running
not
an
the main
offense or
one.
Yeah,
defense.
it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
They're
main
out there
one.
for one play every so many plays, as opposed to a defense
Exactly.
being out there for 6 straight plays or 10 straight plays, whatever.
The
offense
identity
is.
of the team will take on the.
I just that's the only concern I'll have with Buck. Is it's just seeing you've never been a head coach before, can you do both?
But I just wonder if it was kind of stagnant under Campbell. Like they were always a competitor, but they never really got to that level. So I just wonder if he either takes them higher, lower, or it's.
I truly believe though that when they signed Rourke, there was a riff.
Oh, well, you're because who signed him?
Yeah,
You
I don't
know
think it
that
was-
came from the top, and Rick's hands were tied.
there's
and then
a
he's-
reason why Rick's not there anymore.
Sure.
There's and part of that is like just in the locker room. Just you went into the season knowing VA was your leader, and all of a sudden your leader's
He had
being
such a good
shelved.
mojo going there too.
Yes.
Before and he got
Yeah.
hurt. I mean, that's fair too. But
It's not Rourke's fault.
No,
it's not any.
yeah.
No, it's
it's not. But it's
not
naturally
VA's
that's just
fault.
going to be a riff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And they should have waited this season, told Nathan, try keep bouncing around in the NFL. Let us finish
take
this
some
season
time
with
off.
VA.
Even,
and then after this season, we will trade VA and we're going to sign you.
work out. and-
Like we're going to bring you in for 2025, but not 2024. But I think they panicked because VA got
Great cut.
hurt. They were starting to lose a couple games because Jake Dolegala was awful.
Oh, yeah.
And they were hosting a Grey
Yeah.
Cup, so they panicked and like, okay, let's go bring in Nathan Rourke. They do it, but it actually hurt the team.
yeah. I think that's what kind of brought them down.
But now that they know it's his fully,
Yeah,
like that's
sure.
why I'm betting high with that first pick. I could see that because there's a good quarterback in there. Right?
Oh, 100%.
He reverts to what he was before he left the NFL.
Well, and then
He's
the team will move in one direction as well with him. So
In 2022, he was like just
incredible.
unreal. He
Cheat
was
code.
a must watch.
Cheat code, yeah.
Yeah.
it was
must
too bad he
watch.
got hurt that year.
Yeah, it is too bad. I saw it firsthand because I
really-
whooped the Elks in both games there. Like it
Curtis-
was over at halftime.
if Curtis could be up here too, like that would be.
I would think we have to wait at least a year.
He'll get his shots, yeah.
He
and
will
he'll
bounce around
do
the
the whole
NFL.
thing.
I-
He'll
like,
do
I
the
don't-
tour like Nathan.
I don't know if he'll get drafted. I think he might. But if he doesn't get drafted, he'll be an unsigned.
All a
rookie.
waste of time though, right? Like let's just like I just
Well, if there's a guy that could do it, it's him. Like size wise, he's bigger than Nathan.
Yeah, but-
taller, bulkier.
Is he better though?
It's tough to tell now with what he's led a school that hasn't traditionally had success in a good conference.
They had
but
one loss. It's hard. Like it's
he's put
Indiana.
up great
That's-
numbers, but
And that one loss, they got whooped, right? That
They
was that
did.
big game that
You know, I said
everybody
it
thought-
start off
yeah,
well.
yeah.
So that's just one of those like Nathan Rourke never did that. He never got the call to the big school, but there was also not the full transfer portal at
That's
the
the
time.
thing. So I wonder
it's
what could have
hard,
been.
like,
Yeah.
Am I
And there's
being-
so many bad quarterbacks in the NFL that you're like, why couldn't he just make a?
Am I being clouded because of what he's doing with Indiana?
I just
right now?
wanna
We've
see
got
him play
one
weekly.
Heisman vote, like first place vote for a Heisman went to a Canadian. This
I
year.
want to see him play weekly though with the CFL rules. And I know they worry about money and they want to, and I get all that, but I just want to see him play a full season
Fast
CFL,
forward
lighten it up,
5
lighten it up.
years, you might have Trey Ford, Nathan Rourke, and Curtis Rourke
That's-
as starting quarterbacks in this league.
Yeah. Then we
That's
all
pretty
we
cool.
all get a first round pick of our.
Well, no,
We all get a Canadian QB.
Is there another Canadian? Tommy Stevens? Is he Canadian?
No, he's an American.
I don't think there's anyone else that's really out there right now.
Of note.
That's of note, but we don't ever really pay attention to those. The hour's up. We could.
Oh, yeah,
that's,
sorry.
Hey, great
Lieutenant Eric
CFL
was in. This
talk.
was awesome. I wasn't expecting to go full CFL there. This is the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage, Canada storage experts, more than 2 decades of helping Canadians through life transitions. Right now, 75% off 8 weeks on 5x10 units. That offer ends December 25th. Again, 75% off 8 weeks on 5x10 units. Check them out, sentinel.ca. Matt Iwanyk, Hernan Salas with you. That was Lieutenant Eric. Momentarily, we will have YouTube Trev join us here on the Hangout. Portions of this hour of the Hangout, they are brought to you by the Hive Product Marketing, official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk. Promotional products that bring the buzz. Check them out, thehiveproductmarketing.com. I know I saw some comments in the nasty chat. When it comes to store orders, things were shipped. I'm waiting for over today or tomorrow. I should get tracking numbers. So if you want a tracking number, I could reach out to me, Matt@EdmontonSportsTalk.com. And once I get the tracking numbers, I could send you your tracking number. But things have been shipped, so sometime this week, hopefully you should get those. But any store orders that did happen, things are now shipped, and I will hopefully get tracking numbers either, like I said, today or tomorrow, and I could pass those along to you if you would like some. Yeah, I just love CFL chat. I didn't expect that we'd go there. I didn't expect the CFL,
We need a CFL
fantasy
show
discussion.
on EST.
You want to? I could do CFL all day, every day for 365. And then also somebody did say though we should do like at least a weekly soccer thing. We should find a way to do like a weekly 30-minute soccer chat.
Yeah,
or
that'd be
something.
great.
Hi, Trev.
Thank you, Nasties.
How are
Thank you for that entrance. Hello.
Cold?
Yes, I agree. Yes, I'm
what
always
happened to your
cold.
jacket?
What happened? Oh,
You got a burn on it.
yeah. I don't know what happened.
It melted.
There.
That you were by a fire, I'm assuming, and something came.
I think when I was camping.
Aw,
That'll happen. That's
That
okay. I've
sucks.
had this for maybe 6 years, so it's held up pretty good.
it's a nice jacket though.
Not gonna lie. Yeah, I'm always cold. The guys are always making fun of me in the morning because I'm the only one wearing a jacket, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, it's so hot in here." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, it's so cold in here."
You're like me. That's why I have a heater in my office.
Yeah,
I'm
I know.
always cold,
I
man.
need to. You're cold-blooded. Yeah, you are cold.
And then Jay keeps turning on the AC in here to turn it down.
I know, like,
And
messes
my
with it,
office,
the whole
my office
system.
is the one that gets the full cold air coming right on it. So I'm freezing in my office with my little heater trying to go and trying to balance it all out.
I'll have to bring that heater into the studio one of these days. Your heater to warm
just
me
don't
up.
knock the power out.
That's the only thing I was supposed to say. Like we're pretty
we don't
risky
wanna-
with some of
I
that
want
right
to
now.
test that. Yes.
Don't knock the power out, bro.
Yep. No, that was very scary yesterday.
Twice too.
Yeah. No, it's never been like that. We've had it once in one day before.
And I think it screwed up one of our computers. I think that's the reason that computer's
It's like
completely screwed
very
up.
slow right now. Like
Oh no,
everything
I
about
need
it.
to reinstall everything. I
Yeah.
think. And if that doesn't work, I got to replace computers, and that computer's just gone. Luckily, that computer was free.
Oh, that's
We
nice.
found it.
Actually.
It was left
The
here
old
from the
place?
old people,
Oh, look at that.
and I
Saved a
repurposed
few
it for
bucks.
us to use it. So.
Nice.
And it's actually done the trick. It's done a very good job. It's very good. That was a good first hour, boys.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
We talked football.
I know. I was listening.
Also, both footballs.
Both footballs.
Football.
Your thoughts on
and
Man
football.
City? Just kidding.
Yeah, it's interesting what they've been able to do. Well, they're sucking, right? They're sucking bad. Yeah,
That's what it was.
They're gonna have to figure something out, but I'm confident that they can do it. Obviously, they've got some decent pieces, but they're just really not working out right now. So they'll figure it out. I'm confident.
Big
They'll
news.
probably go for 500 this year, I think.
Big news out of Toronto, guys. Leafsland.
Oh,
Stolars out 46 weeks.
that hurts.
That right.
That hurts. That sucks. That is, yeah, that's
MRI
okay.
revealed a pebble in his knee.
A pebble in his knee. What the hell does that mean?
Who's that?
I don't know. That's
I've
from,
never heard that in my life.
that's from David Alter, who covers the Maple Leafs for the Hockey News.
Like what kind of pebble? Like a chipped bone? Is that what that
It's got to
means?
be something like that.
Gotta be something like that. Any
Pebble.
doctors out there?
They're having a quiet,
Nazis.
good year.
They are.
I mean,
They're actually-
Stolars was playing amazing.
The
I mean, I'm not too upset about it.
yeah, no, me either. Sheldon Keefe says right now the Maple Leafs have two of the best goalies in the league, just based off numbers, I guess, because they were really wheeling and dealing. But that pebble will get you, I guess.
They're at the top of their division.
With
They have
Florida.
the sixth best record in hockey. They're having a quiet, good year.
They are.
Yeah, good for
They
them.
usually well, like it's usually around January where they kind of because the Oilers have that slump in like February.
Used to be December.
Yeah, it's December.
The last
yeah.
years, it's been the start of the year.
Yeah,
Have they had
that's true.
the Feb? Yeah, they've had a little bit of concerns.
were
at
good.
Feb.
2 years ago, I remember my first year in Edmonton, they sucked because I was bartending and I had to try and tell people that it was going to be okay every day. But yeah, usually the Maple Leafs, because you're seeing it with the Rangers now, right? Every team kind of just goes through a slump. The Maple Leafs are going to have a slump
I don't think
pretty
the
soon.
Rangers is a slump anymore.
They suck.
Yeah.
They're just bad. Everyone wants out. It's so nothing's really been. There's clearly some behind the scenes stuff going on with Jacob Trouba, because like that is just so swept under the rug, and like you have to think that he had a huge part to their falling.
Yeah. Always fascinating to hear what's going on there. Because there's rumblings that players don't get along. And,
Yeah,
their GM went on Hockey Night in Canada and said he needs to add some players. Talk at throwing 4 or 5 guys under the bus without names, but we can all assume who he was talking about.
Vinny Desharnais, healthy scratch.
The Sabres just, you talk about decade of darkness.
It's going to be 2 decades.
Holy smokes, that team is, I never thought anyone could outdo the Edmonton Oilers for the decade of darkness, but they're well on their way. Or if they already
They're past it.
15 years, 14 years.
Like,
They're past in terms of drought. They're past the Oilers, and there's no end in sight right now.
Darkness.
but when they went to get Lindy Ruff, it's like, been there, done that. Like, go somewhere. And again, I'm not saying this
They've
is all
went
Lindy
everywhere.
Ruff, but like that team
But
is just,
also, they have tried doing others. They have tried, and nothing has worked.
They need an Elks rebuild.
But they've done the
Clean house.
presidency.
They have. They've
They've
done
done
everything.
the GMs. They've done the head coaches.
They've done
They've
the
changed the
trades.
players.
But Maddie, when the Oilers were going through it too, remember they brought in Pat Quinn, then they brought in Dallas, and then they did it all too until it finally clicked, right?
Wow, they got Connor McDavid.
They need to get a Connor McDavid.
Yeah,
I
and they
think
could have
that's
had
what
Draisaitl and Connor McDavid.
They could have. Instead, yeah, that's.
They could have had Draisaitl for sure. McDavid, the draft balls didn't work out their way.
No.
They tried everything they could to get it in that position, and they didn't win it. But they could, was that
could have been
was that
the-
Sam Reinhart?
yeah.
Well, but even if they didn't take Leon, they had Sam Reinhart.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's really elevated his game since he's gone to Florida, but obviously a better team and all that. But
Yeah. You feel bad. Like, you have to at this point. I've done a few videos on the Sabres, like in the previous, like the last 2 summers, I guess. And a lot of Sabres fans are just like, I remember they're commenting on my videos and they're like, wow, like we love this passion. I think you're right. And then that was just clearly wrong because they still suck. But you like, it's kind of like how the Oilers were for so long. They kind of had the pieces. They had a lot of pieces you like. They just could never do anything of significance. Because you've got the Tage Thompson, who was just a stud. I like Dylan Cousins a lot. They got Peyton Krebs, who's pretty good. You just go up and down. Alex Tuck, like they've got a decent lineup. Bowen Byram, Rasmus Dahlin, Owen Power. Like their defense is really good. It should be good at least, and they just can't get nothing going. So
yeah, it's bizarre.
it is bizarre.
They play Montreal tonight, and I know their owner came out yesterday and talked to the team and said, "Yeah, we're good. The guys in here are going to turn it around."
I was just talking to Dusty about that. It's
Yeah.
like, what's that going to do?
But if they lose tonight,
The solution
they
is
don't
in the
play
room.
they don't play till Friday. Heads got to roll if they lose tonight to Montreal.
But can you fire Lindy Ruff?
Well, I'm not saying fire
Can you
Lindy
like
Ruff.
who's
Like,
head?
Their GM.
Clearly, the
How-
coach bump, the coach has nothing to do with it. It has to be the players, like for them at least, because they've
I almost want Montreal to win just to get some
just
chaos.
to see what.
Oh, it's always
happens.
fun watching chaos, especially when it's not in your city.
Yeah.
So their GM right now is Kevin Adams. He's been there since 2020, so he's been there long enough.
And he hasn't been
needs to
good.
get up.
He hasn't been good.
I know on Hello Hockey in week 2 of this year, David Pagnon, or maybe it was like week 4 because it was early into the season, but they didn't start strong. And he said he wouldn't be surprised. Like he heard talks that he could be the first GM to go this season. So hasn't happened quite yet.
it
I
makes
wouldn't be
sense.
surprised.
That one, how long has he been tenured?
Got Ryan McLeod.
He's top. He's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13th most tenured in the NHL. So he's top half.
That's crazy.
I could argue. Yeah, the argument could be made now that it's
4
due.
years is the 13th most tenured.
I think
Don't
Lindy
got a
Ruff,
long shelf life right there.
Lindy Ruff makes it through the year, but they might, like, let's say they fire the GM, new GM comes in, he'll bring in his own guy in the offseason.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what route we
Rangers too, man. Like, what are they gonna do?
And that's like that really doesn't, because they started strong at least. So I feel like they'll be able to figure it out. Like they were first in the league for like the first month. Like everything was clicking. Their offense was rolling. Lafreniere was crushing it. Panarin was crushing it. And then it's just I don't know what happened. Like
The thing
it
you
has
don't
to
want
be
to do as a
Trouba.
GM is come out and say, put your team on notice. They have not been good
Yeah.
since that, especially.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's like a big, like stick it to the GM. Like, you're not gonna threaten
Yeah.
us.
We're gonna this is
Bad morale. Like as a GM, like I think Chris Drury tries to, like he's maybe a little too much emotion on his sleeve and lets it come out too much. And in that role, you definitely can't have that.
No,
And that is collapse the Rangers right now.
you got to be calm, cool.
Speaking of organization, I just quickly want to go back to the CFL because the CFLPA has just posted the first annual club report card to drive workplace improvements for members. So I'm assuming players voted on this. The NFL does this. I think, has the NHL ever done this? I don't know if the NHL's done it. The NFL releases, like, players get polled and they do like a report card. The Elks had the worst report card.
Really?
By far. Some of it's a little surprising, though, in some of it. For football operations, they got a B-. Management administration was a C+. Training medical was a C. Equipment was a B+. Family treatment was a D-. Nutrition and diet was an F. Team travel was a D-. And training camp was an F. It's by far the worst report card that is out there. Calgary's probably one of the next closest. They only got C's and D's. They don't get anything else.
Who's on?
But
Were you on training and diet?
Wasn't me, man.
there's the Elks but it's interesting that football ops got B- out of that.
How about communications?
Yeah, I was gonna
It's
say
not in there.
I was gonna say where's.
Not in there.
Okay, I can see
A+.
I can see training camp being F because, yeah, I was just.
Like what goes into like
there was C's, B's, and that's it for training camps. The Elks got an F though.
Can you go through that again?
Football ops was a B-. Management administration was a C+.
Okay.
Training medical staff was a C. Equipment was a B+. Family treatment was a D-. Nutrition and diet was an F. Team travel was a D-. And training camp was an F.
like
And that's voted on by the players.
Hey, this is from the CFLPA, so this is coming from the Players Association, and I like it. Oh, I could click this link. Let's see if I can get more information on how this all came about.
F.
I'm intrigued by the travel because the travel was pretty good this year.
Yeah, like what?
It was WestJet. We had big planes, lots of room. The meals were pretty good. I don't know what else they're expecting.
495
Yeah,
players provided responses to a comprehensive survey over a 2-week period in October of this year. So that's how this came about. The Elks had a pretty high football ops record, which is, again, still a little weird that everything else is so bad, but the football ops was done well. They explain here's the categories. Football ops was players were asked about the relationship with their head coach, coaching staff, and video staff, their team activity scheduling, and their team's adherence to CBA provisions, including those related to padded practice and practice times.
Wow.
I wonder if that's just like if the Elks players voted on that because of Jarius.
Probably.
That's why that one changed.
That's why I said wow.
Equipment players were asked if they were required to pay for any necessary football equipments like gloves, mouth guards, and cleats, if they were given appropriate helmet choice, about the condition of their used equipment, about the general knowledge and helpfulness, availability of their equipment staff. Management administration was players were asked if they've ever been requested to renegotiate an existing contract for less total compensation, if bonuses were offered during contract negotiations, availability of the club's financial department staff, if paid appearances and or employment opportunities outside of football have been offered to players, about the quality of seats provided. So that's more like a little bit of the GM stuff, I would say. Training medical staff, self-explanatory. Treatment of players, self-explanatory. Nutrition diet, self-explanatory. Team travel, which you didn't like. Players are asked about the quality of their team's travel arrangements, if the timing of flights allowed for adequate post-game rest and recovery, about reimbursements for any travel-related expenses, and if applicable, about travel during the practice week to off-site facilities. And then training camp, self-explanatory.
But it's all the same because after the game, you just pack up,
Yeah.
load the truck,
As
get on the
opposed to
bus,
what?
and go to the airplane. Like, I don't know what else they want. Every team does it the same way.
The final question of the survey invited general comments from players. This is a selection from they spelled that wrong, from each club given to reflect the range of feedback provided. So here's the Edmonton Elks. There's 3 of them. My main concerns are lack of investment in both nutrition and strength and conditioning was 1.
Okay.
2, need better food for practice and after the game. Cold pizza isn't good enough. I like that you're laughing. Transitional year. A lot changing with the organization. A lot has been promised with the new ownership.
I get the meal part
Gotta
because
heat up that pizza, Hernan.
after the game, it was always pizza for the team, and it's not healthy. And when you get it every time after every game, so I remember some certain players would just bring their own meals because they're like, I don't want to eat pizza again. I wouldn't even eat it because I was so sick of it. So I get that aspect
fair.
of it. But again, what do you like at that time of night? Like, say you're playing a night game in Montreal, what are you supposed to get?
It's a very
steak, lobster.
It's a very
full
easy.
course deal.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I understand that because pizza's not for everybody, and these guys are highly trained athletes too. Like,
Cold pizza is great, but you first want the hot
is.
pizza, then you go to cold
Yeah.
pizza.
yeah. You can't have cold pizza first.
No.
You can have healthy. You can have a vegetarian. Pineapple pizza.
no, that's a fair one.
The only two things I will say, if I find interest, just quickly scrolling through the other teams. Hamilton, one of their things was free EV charging at the facility. Where did I find that? Okay.
Free what?
Electric vehicle charging.
Oh, okay.
And Ottawa, out of 53 surveys, not a single written response was provided. None of the 53 players felt like they had something extra to say.
No, I'm
So
good.
I find that one very interesting. But yeah, so there you go. We'll see what the report is next year. But
it's
not
better.
a good
That's concerning.
report card for the Elks at all. But it also kind of makes sense why they've cleaned house.
But it's also interesting on the meals, like following practice, and but that comes from football ops, though, right? Like they make the deals and all that, and they bring the food in. So I don't know.
Well, hopefully it changes.
Oh, I got yeah.
That's an issue.
I
Going
mean,
forward.
and again, these are the players, but I've seen it, and the equipment guys and the training staff is top notch at the Edmonton Elks. It is.
When you're losing, it's easy to complain about things.
Of
Yeah.
course, you complain about everything, but I don't agree with
this
those. I don't
pizza
agree with
sucks.
grades on.
But that's
a
the
lot of
thing.
them.
And
Like,
we're losing, and
We're losing. The pizza sucks.
And I
You
got
know,
another goddamn
Winnipeg
pizza?
and Montreal had some good numbers, clearly because they're good organizations right now. They're
Like
winning.
like travel is for me is that blows my mind because it's
I don't know what you can do different.
what else do you want?
yeah. There's nothing else you can.
The
do
only thing,
different.
and part of the criteria was maybe expenses. So when they had like bye weeks and they're flying away, maybe there's issues with that they didn't like.
Yeah, maybe.
But that would come then from your connection with football ops, and why I think management was so low was that their connection with the management of the team wasn't there.
Huh.
That might be it.
Sounds like the Elks are a
Interesting.
bunch of whiny little babies on the travel. Every single team leaves the night after the game. Like, why would that be so low for like?
We're just discussing this.
And we had
that shouldn't even be a thing.
and the planes.
All travel.
So it has to do with expenses.
We got fed even on a 40-minute flight to Regina. We got fed on every flight there and back. We had every row was two to a row, so you had room. We had
Probably
Wi-Fi.
the best travel they've had. Like,
Yeah, we had Wi-Fi on the
it
planes.
doesn't make any
Like,
sense to me. I was listening to you guys. I was like, that makes no sense.
yeah.
Nice.
Take off your jacket.
No,
let him.
You have
warm
a
up.
jacket on.
Let him warm up.
he has a jacket on.
He probably just came back from outside, though.
He did.
I will say that. The official drink of the EST Hangout. It's the Finnish long drink official drink of the EST Hangout. As I said, legend of 1952. A drink unlike any other sparkling refreshment, real liquor. Longdrink.com/Canada is where you can enter your postal code and
Nice.
find it nearest you. Oh, that one went
That's
flying. all over the
BS,
way there.
man.
Yeah.
I'm fired up. No, I'm just.
Oh, because
They
me
gotta
too.
adding
I
Chris
know a
Morris
lot
have
of
to
the
do better.
players complained about the meals post game and the meals during like after practice because you're supposed to feed the players after practice and
I also understand that, like, especially when you're an organization that's going through an ownership, any organization in business that goes through an ownership change, generally costs don't get spent either. So I do understand that there's certain things that probably weren't fully funded as they maybe should have because you're in the middle of a transition of going to a new owner. And now we'll see with Larry Thompson how much money is being reinvested to build those programs back up.
and I understand
nicer
training
pizzas.
camp being an F because training camps are hard.
So is that just them being like not in shape and they're mad? Like the players just like, oh,
No,
they're
think
testing
it's-
us too hard?
I think it's just the long days. I think it was in part Chris Jones too.
and just no rest and just go.
Well, you're there all day.
Yeah.
But you get fed. Like they had a really good buffet for the team for lunch and dinner.
Training camp was players were asked about the quality of their housing during training camp.
Ah, okay.
If they had to share a room during training camp, about the quality of their meals during training camp, and if club adhered to CBA practice time and padded practice requirements during
okay.
training camp.
So two of those I
More.
can see why they're upset. Practice time and accommodation
Yeah.
because they weren't at the best hotel. Yeah.
So
fair.
that's where that would
They've
come
spoken.
from. So
The Elks
this
have
is,
spoken.
that's a fascinating thing. The NFL does
The
it.
food was really good.
Yeah.
So I would eat with the team
Nice.
until they told me to stop.
Hernan, that's
Really?
for players.
Yeah.
You got told to stop?
Yeah, there wasn't enough food. I'm like, really?
How's there not enough food?
When I see a player with fucking
Okay, then I'll tell you right now. When they talk about the quality of the meals during training camp, I'm sure they're going, we ran out
sorry,
of
I
food.
just said the F word.
It's not,
I can't.
That's okay.
but there's,
We've
like, that's
got-
where it comes from.
No, because I saw a player one time with 2 plates and he had like 40 chicken tenders on it, and you're complaining about me who had 2. I was like,
So if you're running out, that's where the criticism comes from. I will say that.
Sorry about that, folks. That was awesome. For all the kids listening.
This is the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage, Canada Storage experts, more than 2 decades of helping Canadians through life's transitions. 75% off 8 weeks of 5x10 units. Offer ends December 25th. Sentinel.ca for more information. I had the camera on that one. That was good. It like completely crossed it.
Why are you throwing them?
Because Belsey last week said I should after you read
like
them, you need to-
Letterman?
yeah, you need to throw them. So when I'm done with it,
I think Jay does that at the end of his show.
he throws a paper
airplane yesterday. It actually hit the camera as well.
I need to get that going a little bit. I didn't do it with Trey and Gavin here because I felt like that would be a little unprofessional, but you guys aren't Trey and Gavin. Also, I do have to say, I will... Oh, Kelvin saying Hernan is heating up.
I'm sorry, that just came out naturally.
Big
man.
Maple, the reaction from Hernan is his own F-bomb was priceless. To K Gill 39, Maddie, that was a legendary chat between you and Tim Peele. I did really enjoy myself on that one. Tim Peele's an idiot. Tim Peele has no right to speak to other people about how they treat others. When you're gonna go yell at 17-year-olds, and don't give me this polygraph test. In the polygraph test you showed me, Tim, it didn't even say, did you go yell at these refs? Yeah, you maybe didn't do some other things, but you never once said I didn't go yell at them.
Did you see that?
Yeah. There was a.
And he's the guy that
nasty
broke
chat.
the Johnny Gaudreau passing use as if it was like he had to be first.
Yeah.
Like you deserve no respect, Tim Peele, so piss off.
He just seems
Mic
like
drop.
a real, you know what?
A son of a bee.
And he had no responses to my stuff.
Yeah, it's because you were absolutely.
Like he'd
demoling
try to
him.
deflect or move to something else, and then he's like going after Yaremchuk about his spell, because Yaremchuk went after him over spelling, and Tim's like, "Oh, that's so funny. That's all you got." When literally Tim Peele did it to someone else like an hour earlier. So when I screen capped it and said that to Tim, he had nothing to say to that.
You destroyed him.
I hope
and
he
it was
doesn't
cool
have
to
too
see.
much of a headache today.
The one thing the Elks did good for me was, they did a lot. But one of the things is I couldn't tweet about Oilers
Day-to-day.
and-
Oh, okay.
So now, I have because before, at 12:60, I'd be on there arguing with people nonstop. Now
Right.
it's I don't even care.
Yeah.
I'll send my tweets out, and if people don't disagree with me, I just leave it alone.
Yeah, that's fair.
Tim had no response to Yaremchuk and I yesterday. And to Big Maple, it's because he went after Yaremchuk. So I got involved, and Yaremchuk and I both went after Tim, and he had nothing.
But it's weird that so does Tim follow Yaremchuk? Because how would he see his tweet?
Tim used to work for The Nation, I believe, until he was probably a big an idiot, and I'm assuming got let go or something because he doesn't work for them anymore. So he might have followed Yaremchuk because of that.
Yeah, but to jump on because he's criticizing the official in the game, and you should respect him because he's worked 10 Stanley Cup finals.
How dare you criticize?
Well, he's just making a comment about a call and the way
Yeah.
he's taking over the game. Why are you so
Pretty
sensitive?
silly. Yeah, he got salty real quick. I know the Nasties appreciated you. You were getting all this praise in the Nasty chat this morning. I'm like, what did Matty do?
You're a man of the people.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah,
and then I investigated it, and I was like, oh, snap. Out of Matty.
At one point, he's bringing up fighting.
Yeah.
He's going oh, you guys wouldn't want fighting in hockey. I'm like, well, what does this have to do with anything we're discussing right now, Tim? Fighting has nothing to do with this. I'm coming at you because you braided 17-year-old refs. Yaremchuk went after the ref in the game. Had nothing to do with fighting. Why are you bringing up fighting? And he had no response to that because he's an idiot.
Yeah.
He is an idiot.
I don't know him. I don't want to know him. And he sounds like a loser.
I just hope his headache today isn't too bad.
I know you.
Yeah.
You're a
That
good
was
dude.
It was.
I've yet to get on
Hey, how about our bowling?
beef with anyone on Twitter.
and
It's fun.
I've yet to do it. I will
it's one of
day.
those. It can be difficult and stuff, but I hadn't done it in so long.
Yeah.
And this one was fun. And I will say this right now, I dunked on Peele. I think quite a bit last
you
night.
did. You
Like I will
destroyed
say
him.
that one. I feel like that he had nothing on me, and I dunked on him
Like,
many
I was
times,
scrolling.
and it felt great.
I couldn't
playing
believe what I
checkers.
was
On that guy.
seeing. I was like, Matty usually doesn't do this.
He was playing checkers, and you were playing chess, Matty. You destroyed him.
It's just
sick.
easy.
I wish
he
I
was
could.
too easy. It was too fun.
Who would you want to fight with on Twitter? Let us know.
And nasty.
Oh, there's
Yep.
a few others I'd like to fight with on Twitter.
Wise guy.
I
Yeah.
won't say
Oh,
that
there's
one.
a lot.
There's
but
a few.
I just don't have the energy anymore.
Yep.
To each their own, right?
Absolutely there, Hernan. Absolutely.
To Penner's Pancakes. Is Matty trying to change his heel persona? Not sure babyface Matty works. Better heel. Well, I feel like I had nothing. Like, that wasn't me trying to just be babyface. That was me just, don't go after Yaremchuk. That's my boy.
Yep.
And then Yaremchuk didn't even do anything that crazy. Because, like, we very beginning of the show said it. Like, I forgot which ref it was. But it's one of those, like, do you really have to be that, like, emotional, animated. There's
Yeah.
for that. Like Darnell, yeah, give him the 2. That's fine. Give him the unnecessary roughness if you want, but you have to be that animated with it to like make such a big show out of it. Like you're just a ref. You're not
That's like-
there. People aren't there to watch you.
I just imagine what the players say to these guys when they're like, they must let them have it.
And I feel like NHL refs for the most part are usually they have the most, like they take the most, and then usually they like, okay, enough's enough. You're gone. 2 minutes for lipping me off or whatever. But like you look at the umps in MLB. It's like they got a light switch. Like it's just like you look at them the wrong way and you're out of the game. And same with I watched a video yesterday, technicals and the association, and like Jason Tatum, he clapped his hands once because he missed a shot. He got a technical for it.
Guys take it personal, man.
Like, what was it? Tim Duncan, he was laughing on, like he wasn't even on the court. He was laughing at a play and he got a technical for it. Like, I feel like they just, I don't know what it is, but it's annoying that they just take it so personally. And they're like, oh, I don't like that. Like, it's just a shut up. I hate that. I hate that.
Just do your job and don't be seen like as much as
quit
possible.
trying to make it about you.
And look, I'm one that has in my life on radio has actually defended refs more than not, I would say. I'm not going to get into the discussions here, but like I was one that defended the decision of the Kyle McCarr from the playoffs and stuff. Like I'm actually generally actually pretty good, but like there are times where it's just like, okay, don't be you're not the show.
Yeah, exactly.
People are there to watch the 2 teams. You're there just to make sure the rules are followed and to do your job to let that game happen.
Yeah.
And when you do that, also, you're going to get criticism for it, for certain things, but don't be so animated. Create that type of show.
Don't be a jabroni.
And then Tim Peele, like, oh yeah, it's so soft that people are ripping these guys.
What's wrong with jabroni?
No, I'm just
Tim Peele's a
Just joking.
jabroni.
Yeah, he is a jabroni.
Tim Peele's a jabroni.
I am so sorry for swearing. That came out
That's
out of nowhere.
I
I
think
didn't even
that's-
like.
They weren't even the first F word said on the Hangouts.
Oh really?
Gee Flaming was the very first F word on EST.
Oh, I didn't know
and
that.
you.
Yes, yeah, of all of it, right? It was Guy Flaming.
I feel bad now.
I was on both, which is kind
Were
of
you
cool.
on for that one too?
Yeah. It was Dave Dawson.
I don't know where that came from.
Trent Brown did it on the Reed show with Jay a few months ago.
Brant Meyer on your guys' show.
Oh yeah, he threw a few.
Oh yeah.
Look, we don't try to swear on EST,
It just came out.
but
and
sometimes things come out, and it is what it is.
I'm
I don't
sorry.
care.
I got fired up. These damn players complaining about everything.
Yep.
I know
Get them on the
exactly
show.
who it was.
Oh, you know who it was too. Hernan's going to name names at 1 o'clock today. Tune into EST
That was
Afternoons.
totally like
I'm gonna go through the whole roster and be like,
just
You're good. You're bad. You're good.
you had a plate full of way too many food. That's funny. I liked it. That was good.
He's going to remember the entire training camp meals. And he's going to go after each
they were
one.
really good, man. I love them. And then they told me to stop.
And the players did, hey? Or was it?
No, it didn't
staff.
come from the players.
Oh, okay.
Unless the maybe.
from-
Hold on a second.
the
Okay,
players-
hold on.
football ops.
I got it.
The players? Yeah, that
It was the players. They complained someone else. That's why they got the F for training camp, because Hernan kept eating their food. And this all circles back to that. The players were looking at Hernan eating the food and going, yeah, when this poll came out, that media guy, Hernan, F.
Yep.
He kept eating our food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why the
Nice,
training
Hernan.
camp was an F. It was all because of you, Hernan. You were
going.
eating their food.
It's embarrassing.
embarrassing.
I'm just joking. You mentioned our bowling?
Hey, so you were pretty sore after bowling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it wasn't just me.
Yeah, no.
But we dominated, eh?
Oh, I think so.
I
We
was
did
not
pretty good.
sore after bowling. I will throw
No?
that out there. No. I was crap. I'm very embarrassed by my
No,
performance.
you weren't bad.
I was not happy with my performance. I wasn't good enough.
Do you remember your scores? Does anyone,
No.
I was,
I finished top 3.
Yeah,
I
Jay,
was-
I think overall combined had the best score.
I think so. My first one I cracked 100, and my second one I was third in the first game, and then the second game I got second, so I improved a little bit.
It's not my excuse because I just didn't play well, but I couldn't find a ball I actually liked.
That's true.
I needed a little bit bigger holes,
Bigger
and
holes.
I wanted a 10. I like 10.
The 11 was my.
I was hucking them sevens.
Yeah. Yeah, you were.
I was just there was so many pins. I'm like, what are the right pins? And just boom, and I actually did okay.
Why don't we
I was
bowl
seeing
more?
triples.
It was so much fun.
Yes,
We could plan a monthly EST bowl night.
I would love that.
That was so much
I'm
fun.
so pro for bowling. I would love to do that. It's like the perfect thing. have a few drinks, and then you bowl. Like,
Yeah.
like what else is there? You can do that. Not much.
We'll add that as a dream for the next EST studio. We'll add a bowling alley.
Oh, my.
Because I know
Custom.
Shanks is going to be Mark's work warehouse, I heard.
Really?
They're moving. They're moving from, it's across the street. They're moving
kidding
into
me?
Shanks, and it's going to be Mark's, I think I saw. And because Canadian Tire, I think, is closing in that parking lot. And they're moving by where we used to work. But so if we have to envision a new EST studio, maybe we add a bowling alley.
Perfect.
That'd be
2
amazing.
lanes.
Right by the basketball court.
By a basketball court, which will be next to the golf/F1 simulator that we'll have. Which will
need
be
it.
next to the Tecmo machine.
Yeah.
Which will be next to the dartboard, which will be next to, I guess we don't need it. Yeah. And we'll just try to do work.
EST headquarters.
Yeah.
Couple years in the making.
Like, oh, can you imagine? You know,
We have a cafeteria.
Do you guys know Dude Perfect? Like their headquarters. That's exactly like what we're describing right now.
Barstool in Chicago. They
Also
created
has?
an entire, like, this gymnasium that they have. And they have a kitchen and they have everything. Abuski, wasn't it JMO that dropped the first F-bomb in EST? No.
Oh, JMO
He said
also
the
did.
S word and the first hangout twice.
I love
He didn't say the F-bomb.
I thought there was a JMO F-bomb.
I don't believe he said the F-bomb. He said he swore on the very first hangout, though. It was him, John Sexsmith, Tommy, and I, and JMO said the S word a few times.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, there it is. We're not even hours into the EST, and we got the first swears.
That's what we're doing. We're hanging
Thanks,
out.
JMO.
I talked to JMO last week. He had me howling on the phone, man.
I like JMO.
He's hilarious.
He's tentatively booked to co-host the morning show with myself and Eric the week of December 30th.
Nice.
I'm in for some mornings and stuff. But
What?
December-
You're off
Are you?
too?
December. I'm in on Friday. I'm in on Monday with Will.
Oh yes.
And then the 30th, 31st, I'm in with JMO and you. And then
Oh,
Jan
nice.
2nd and 3rd will be
I see
Eric,
what you
JMO,
mean.
and you.
Okay.
So
I see what you're
JMO's going to
talking
be
about.
coming on EST as I haven't had him
Cool.
host in a while. So
That'd be fun.
I haven't.
I've heard so many stories.
The last time it was just JMO and I hosting would have been,
Oh, that would be fun.
I think, May of 2022.
I'm shaking.
Wouldn't it,
May of 2022.
Oh, and I guess there would have been
No,
times
no.
where Tide was on vacation.
wouldn't it have been
never
June?
mind. No. We had, because it was Tide, JMO, and I. Right?
Oh, that's right.
But I guess Tide had some vacation time, so there would have been some of the shows in there that JMO and I did it. But actually, like, the amount of times JMO and I did just a show of just the two of us, since he came back from cancer, was May of 2022. So there wasn't a lot in that year that we ended up being together. And then before that, he was off for the year. So we haven't done a lot of shows together in a while. And it was always a lot of fun. So that's what's it should be. So stay tuned for the holidays. Dusty and Eric will be off. Other people will be off at times, but we're going to have JMO on a little bit during the morning show.
go.
So stay tuned for that.
Let's go, JMO.
Jameson.
Jameson. Mr. Jameson. That'd be awesome.
You never got a chance to work with him, so now that you'll get that JMO experience.
Yeah, I
Oh,
bet
yeah.
it's gonna
Be
be.
on your toes, buddy.
I will be.
You've been warned.
Yes.
Yeah, get the names right for sportscasts.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, he'll rip me.
He won't rip you. He'll just be like, hey,
You did
it's
wrong.
not that. It's this.
Okay.
He'll make sure you know.
And he's always testing you. Hey, so what did the Carolina Panthers do today?
Okay.
And he's just be like,
As always, okay, I'm ready.
he's good though.
JMO, I'm so ready. That'll be cool.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
We don't mean to scare you. JMO's great to work
Oh, no,
with.
he's awesome to work
Yeah.
with.
No, he's a bro.
He's just he holds people to standards, proper standards.
I like
a
that.
pro.
So
Pro's pro.
that's
You need-
exactly it.
you
He's
need
an
someone like
absolute
that.
pro.
Yeah.
It's I need to take we're supposed to go for coffee. He never texts me back about the coffee though.
We're supposed to go for coffee or beer for like 2 months already.
We're saying we're going to do it this week. So then I text him like, hey, would you do some of these morning shows? And he's like, yeah. And then I was like, hey, do you have time this week for a coffee? And he hasn't responded to that part though.
Yeah, he's a busy man. He'll get
He's still busy.
Yeah.
He's at the Elks.
Well, he's Dave Jameson. He's always busy. Even if he wasn't at the Elks, he's always got something on. He's always had something on the go as long as I've known him. He's a busy, busy boy. I need to get to Rotawaries, which is brought to you by AccuSteel Heavy Haul Trailers, custom manufacturing of heavy haul trailers for mining, oil and gas equipment, highway transportation, quality, innovation, integrity, trusted by the leaders in the heavy transport industry.
Nice.
Get on the road with peace of mind for your large load.
Jeez.
AccuSteel.ca. You want to throw one?
Oh, you're
wanna throw
scaring me.
one?
That's powerful.
Is that a throw? Yeah, knock the light down.
Just
I'll knock the camera down and all of that.
So I got a
That'll be EST.
I got a good arm, man.
National Hockey League tonight, a bunch of games. The Oilers are not one of them. As we mentioned earlier, Sabres in Montreal take on the Canadiens, so we'll see what happens there.
Just beat me in 21.
Zach just beat Dusty in
That's
21.
how bad I've been lately.
Wow.
I gave 3 threes, including one off the roof. If you can believe
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That
Zach
shouldn't
hit
count.
3 threes, including one off the roof. Dusty has fallen to Zach in an office game
Zach's
of
never
21.
won a game.
That was
till
his
today.
first. He was. I have beat him in all 6 games we've played.
Because I listen to Creed.
It's because he listens to Creed, Zach says.
Yeah, I like your hoodie.
So,
Thanks.
You go.
Take off your jacket.
You don't tell me what to do. Who does he think? He is?
what other big games do we have tonight? If we're looking for the big games, Rangers Predators actually is an interesting one.
Oh, wow.
Because you got
Yeah.
the Preds who are
Tweedledee
trash.
and Tweedledum.
Right, and you got the Rangers who are on the
Oh,
road in
geez.
Nashville. That would be interesting.
pick a road
Bruins
warrior?
Flames going. Oh, I'm just looking at the Road Warriors as we look at some of the games that are around sports. The NBA Cup. Is it the final tonight?
OKC. Yep.
Thunder, Bucks, ABC, 6:30.
I said the Thunder were going to win it.
And then, as I've mentioned a little bit earlier, we got the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl, 25 Memphis taking on West Virginia. Memphis 6-point favorites going into this one.
That'll be a good one.
So there's your big stuff that's happening.
Juventus Cagliari today too.
We got
Juventus or Juventus?
we got Serie A
Juventus,
action going today.
Yeah.
No
Monday
way.
game.
Oh, no,
wait,
that's
it's
Coppa
Tuesday.
Italia. It's a cup match.
Oh,
Round of
nice.
16. So that's at 1
that'll
o'clock.
be a good
So
one.
there you go. There's your Road Warriors
thank
brought to you
you.
by AccuSteel Heavy Haul Trailers.
Does
Matawana,
soccer stop
Hernan
for
Salas,
Christmas?
And YouTube Trev with you here on the EST Hangout. Your clear choice for Edmonton Sports. One moment. We're on TuneIn, iHeart, YouTube, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, wherever you get your podcast. It depends on the league.
Okay.
job.
Sorry to interrupt you. There.
No. Bundesliga, like in Germany, takes a winter break. I think Italy takes a winter break.
Okay.
Soccer in England, like the Premier League, they go to they play, I want to say till the 23rd, and then they're back on Boxing Day. So they're more like hockey in a sense, and they don't get, and like the English clubs are pissed off because like we play so much soccer, we need a break, and then you got the German clubs who'll take like 2 weeks off almost or something. It depends on the league. So yeah, 22nd will be the last Premier League games, and then they're back on the 26th.
Oh wow.
As for Bundesliga,
Bundesliga.
they play. So the Bundesliga, they play on the 22nd. Their last matches. They don't play Bundesliga matches again until January 10th.
Oh,
They take that quite a bit of a break.
yeah, I'd say so.
Italy, they play the 23rd. Oh, they're back on the 28th, so they're back a little sooner. But Germany gives themselves a
How
little
many
bit more time.
games usually in a season? Like, well, what is it? Is it
30.
40?
It depends. So most leagues have 20 teams. You play everyone twice, so that's 38 games.
Okay.
I think Germany has only 18 teams in their league, though.
Oh.
But then that's for your league. Then there's league cups, which is adds on more games than if you're in Europe, whether in Champions League or Europa League or
Right.
conference. That adds more games, and then
It always
England
confuses
has
me.
2 cups. You could play upwards of 80 some games if you're a soccer
Damn.
team, a really big soccer team.
Do you know what's the first league to start play in COVID?
Out of all the. Oh, was it the MLS?
It's the Bundesliga.
There's Germany.
Okay, damn it. I
Because
suck.
I remember that the first German game in the Bundesliga was probably the most watched game in North America because we were starving for
Sportsnet
sport.
put it on, everyone cared, and it was like great for us because Alfonso Davies is playing
Yeah,
too. So
yeah.
like, hey, our boy's playing.
Okay. I feel like I could have remembered that, actually.
MLS was close though
Yeah. Thank you.
because they did the bubble.
That's crazy.
Except I don't know when they started.
They started. I want to say May, June.
Okay, because
Because Bundesliga started in May.
we started a little bit of Korean baseball,
Yeah.
and UFC didn't take a lot of time off. UFC started going pretty quickly.
UFC was it? Yeah, that's right.
UFC kept going.
Yeah, they went. They might have taken like a couple of weeks off that they weren't planning. Then they found a way to get going, and they got moving pretty quick on that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bundesliga. Alfonso Davies back in training. He got hurt recently. He had a hammy, and apparently he's back in training sooner than expected. Our boy.
Nice.
Sorry, Trev, but I got to
you're
ask
good.
Maddie a soccer question.
Good. Let's
I
go.
want
So
Trev's
is-
answer first.
So Estachio joined a podcast. I think Jonathan David and Laren did.
Yeah.
And it was concerning to me because he talked about how when this golden generation of Canadian soccer is done, he doesn't see a bright future for Canada because of its grassroots, because of its league. And it's hard not to agree with him because he's right. Because listen, the Canadian League, sure, it's people love it and all that, but you're not creating players that you need for World Cups, for Copa Americas, for international play. You're not. And yeah, there's more players going to Europe and playing higher teams in the MLS, but is it enough, right? Because this is the golden generation. It's going to take a step back because I agree with him. Like, you're not finding, you need a top league in Canada, and you're not getting that with the CPL.
Well, so there's a couple things I'll answer to that, but first, Trev, your thoughts.
So, no, I'm curious. I have no idea. I'm very curious about
the
this.
way I would look at one
That
is
sucks.
so. I know for one thing when it comes to, I'll start with the league perspective. Whitecaps are up for sale.
Okay.
And there's a lot of talk that the Whitecaps and also Montreal will be up for sale, and they'll leave MLS. They'll sell their teams. The teams will move to the States, and Montreal and Vancouver then will reopen in the Canadian Premier League.
Okay.
And because I think FIFA wants Canada to have its own league. Everyone has their own league.
Yes.
Germany's its own league. Italy's its
yeah.
own league. They play amongst each other through competitions, but their
Yeah.
league's their own. And MLS, like the US, that's their league, but we have some Canadian teams in it. And I think FIFA wants Canada to be like, no, you have to have your own league, and you're not part of the US league. You have your own league and develop. So that we might. So we'll see what happens if Montreal and Vancouver do that. Does that grow the Canadian a little bit more? Two, we are developing still young Canadians because like Ishmael Kone's young, and where did he come from? Like. So we don't fully know how many young 14, 15, 16-year-olds are there that are going to hit the scene. Who knew of Alistair Johnson until he stepped up on the national scene a few years ago? So like I think there's still some players to be somewhat relevant. But what matters right now for me with the World Cup in 26 and why it's so important is we need to have a decent showing to convince young kids to want to play soccer.
Yeah.
So we want to, we want to inspire the 10, 11, 12-year-old to want to go play soccer, maybe even a little younger. And that's going to take another 15 years to get them playing at a national level or an international level. So, but you need to have that good showing to convert it. And it's like the 02 women's that was here inspired a generation of soccer. Now, we had some good women then, like obviously with Sinclair and Carol Lang and Aaron McLeod. Like we had players.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of, like, why we were then successful with the women's game in the 10s was because Christine Sinclair and all them inspired those women to go play soccer.
Yeah.
We need that for the men's now, that we might take a step back once this generation's over. But how far is this generation going to take us? Like, because of their age, we had the 22 World Cup, we'll have the 26 World Cup. I think we'll have the 30 World Cup with these guys. Like, Davies is old enough to play in the 30. David will be old enough to play in 30. We have a few of those. Is it going to be enough to then transition that we could have enough young people start coming in that by 34, we've introduced the next generation? And are we going to do a good enough job? That's the other part to this, of developing that next generation between now and 34.
But that's the danger, and you see it in a lot of leagues because Canada's best players won't play in the CPL. So the league's never going to be
correct,
right? Like the best players in Canada will get sold to MLS or to lesser teams in Europe, and that's fine. But the CPL then just remains like it's almost like a first, second division.
But it also could be like a process of we need to create the CPL where Canadian soccer players maybe view, instead of like going to the NCAA necessary to play, they'll stick in U Sport, and then because they know the CPL is where they're going to play after. Or maybe there's just, we inspire more people to want to come play in the CPL, and then that takes time to grow. Like the MLS has been around since mid-90s, I think, maybe a little sooner. And like, they're not the best league in the world. The best American players still go off to go to Europe. You know, Christian Pulisic's not playing in MLS. Weston McKinney or whatever the guy's saying, he's not playing in MLS. The best players of America still go play in the top leagues. So we need to bring our Canadians here and develop them so that, I don't care if it's to be like the CFL. Let's get as many Canadians as we can playing in our CPL and grow them. And if they're good enough then to go jump to the Europe, awesome. But let them go develop in Europe then even more.
But the difference is MLS still gets quality players to come to their league. Like they get older stars, like the Wayne Rooney's of the world and the Messi's. Busquets is there.
Yeah, Ibrahimovic.
Like you have top-notch players in MLS where the CPL, no one wants to come play there. And Estacio was alluding to that where he goes, the league, like I feel like a lot of people don't take it seriously.
Well, it's also been around for only like 6 years.
Yeah.
Right? And it's going to take that time. Like MLS didn't start by getting the best players.
No.
And in the end, there's also 300 million people, 350 in the US, that they're going to get players.
Can the Canadian teams in the CPL afford, though, to bring, let's say, an older Italian player to finish out his career?
Truth, I don't want that in that league. Just keep developing young players. Keep giving the opportunities to young players to grow. And make it a full development league.
I just thought it was an interesting take
It's
by
fair.
Estacio. Because Estacio, I think, grew up in Europe.
He's from Portugal.
Yeah.
Like he grew up in
So
that system.
There's a big difference growing up as a soccer player in Europe, South America, because you live that. And when you play semi-pro or you're coming up to the youth system, you train like a pro nonstop. And I think here in Canada, it's a little bit different. You don't train like a pro because you don't have the resources. You don't have the stadiums. You don't have the money to pay all these guys to be here all the time. And do you know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that's why he's comparing it where he finds Canada a little laid back in terms of its professionalism.
Well, that's why there's like everyone talks about dysfunction of Canada soccer.
And it's even with the national.
But Kevin Blue is now the new CEO, and it's like hopefully he'll turn things around and fix things because there needs to be changes. But like, do you know who the owner of the Ottawa team is?
No.
Atletico Madrid.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Madrid owns Ottawa. I never understood it when they announced that they bought the team. That's why it's called Atletico Ottawa, I think, or something like that. But it's like one of those,
Really?
or they have similar colors or something like that. But like I was like, why are you buying into the CPL? All you need to do is get a couple more of those
It's to stash
leagues
players.
and like, why we're not like. Maybe one day, City owns everywhere.
Yeah.
City Group, and we trashed City earlier.
Yeah.
Maybe City though looks one day at Canada and goes, "Yeah, we've got New York Football Club, but let's add a Canadian team to our roster." And
How many teams in the CPL?
I believe there's 9.
Okay.
But there comes a point where it's like, it's going to take time to grow this. They need to grow it, but we also need the right ownership, and then Canadians need to want to support it and go watch it because it won't be continuing if we don't.
We need a team
support
here,
it.
man.
8 teams.
That'd be cool.
We need a stadium. That's the issue with that one. Ottawa. It's Atletico Ottawa because they're owned by Atletico Madrid.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I agree with all of what you said, Maddie. To your question.
And Bronco Nick, until Canada Soccer gets TV slots in prime time in the summer, nothing changes in Canada, and
That's a good point too.
that's why
You got to pay to watch them.
But Canada Soccer really needs to take advantage of the World Cup here.
Oh, yeah.
We need the men to do well, because then hopefully that engulfs the nation, but more importantly engulfs the youth to be like, I want to be a soccer player. I want to do that, and then it's on us for the next 10 years as a nation to be smart at developing them.
Is
And that's the fear I
CPL
have.
on cable? No.
It's on one soccer, no.
So you got to pay. So, but this is my point. So a kid watches Canada play, right?
Yes.
And they're like, yes. They're like, because even in the last World Cup, they should already be motivated because they made it to the World Cup. It was awesome. But most of those kids are like, I want to go play at City. I
that's
want to
true.
go. No one wants to play in the CPL.
But you can make that argument to a degree about football players in Canada going, I want to go play in the NFL. I don't want to play in the CFL. I want to go play in the NFL.
But Canadian players are okay. Like the Canadian players love the CFL. They're like, oh, do you know what I mean? It's a little bit different.
But their dream is still the NFL.
Sure.
So we have to get to a point where we're convincing the young players, the young athletes in this country, soccer players, that one day you want to go play for United, one day you want to go play for Liverpool or Real Madrid. But there's nothing wrong with playing the CPL, and you'll have to play at the CPL first to get there.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to grow. So
Yeah, that's
it comes down to an entire organization being properly run. I don't have faith fully in that one, but maybe Kevin Blue changes it. That's the issue.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage.
good.
Thanks for coming in today, Hernan. Thanks, Trev. Thanks, Eric, for
Thank you,
hopping in
Maddie,
on this
having
this
me
last
on.
minute. This was a fun
Thank you,
one. though.
Trev.
Thank
It's
you,
always
Hernan.
enjoyable.
Sorry again for the F-bomb.
I'm going to go clip that. That was awesome.
It's all good.
That'll be my ringtone.
The things we learned today is Hernan likes to swear. The Elks
Disrespectful.
were terrible grades from their players.
Hernan eats their food.
Great CFL conversation earlier. Tim Peele's an idiot. And yeah,
Zach beat Dusty.
Zach beat Dusty in 21.
that's
That's the real story of today.
yeah, that doesn't even make sense. But he is on a slide of beat Dusty the last 3 games.
It's just
But like
of
Zach,
all people
like,
to beat.
My first
Dusty.
game against Zach was like 21 to like 4. So like that is very surprising. Dusty must have just sucked that one.
Zach also apparently hit 3 threes. So those were
Which
helpful
isn't
and
gonna
stuff.
happen.
That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. Thanks to everyone for tuning into the EST Hangout here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Up next, Lock Shop, Dusty and Huss. We've got 2 guys in a goalie here. Gagers in the house. Dusty, Cass, EST Afternoons with you and Gager. You know what's on you.
Javon Leak.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Siobhan, you can ask him about the report card.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Hey, did you vote on highlights, lowlights?
Reed Welkin show with Jay Milne, and maybe at some point within 1 to 6, Zach can brag about beating Dusty. in the game of 21. Thanks to everyone for tuning in to the EST Hangout. On behalf of Eric, Hernan, Trev, I'm Matt. Like I said, Lock Shop coming up in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Let's go. There you go, right in front of the camera.
First-time guest, long-time listener, fan of the original draft commissioner.
Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Zola with here, joining us today.